Hello again, everybody, and all the mothers around the world. It's a special Mother's Day edition late of the Jim Cornette Experience. It's an inside joke, folks. You'll just have to grin and bear it. Today, we play a game of Find the Stooge. AEW makes stooges out of their only stars and will continue to separate the stars from the stooges on the WWE roster. And joining me for all this and so much more, Hawaiian Brian, the podcasting lion, the king of the Arcadian Vanguard Podcast Network, Mr. Co-host to you, more popular than Joe Besser and Joe DeRita combined, the great Brian Last, everybody.
Aloha, Jim. A pleasure to be here once again. I guess firmly in Shemp position for this mother of an episode. We should have a good time here today, I think, I hope, maybe.
We can cross our fingers and see what happens. Very Shempish of you. Speaking of mamas, my mama deer, no, I'm telling you now, my mama deer, the deer family that has come now to the estate, mama deer has two, not little babies. They're not little, but they're growing up. They're growing fast. Sooner or later, they're going to be leaving for college. Who knows what kind of activity they're going to be participating in. But they're just in the mornings, usually, although it's been so fucking hot, I don't blame them for sneaking around at night, but in the evening time, you can see them grazing in the feed that I've left out for them underneath the ash tree. And Mama feels comfy since we're all friends here. So she leaves the little ones laying underneath Harley's redbud tree in the back while she goes off and does the adult deer things, and they wait for her to come back and get them.
Fucking in the woods?
So we've got them trained.
What are the adult deer things? Fucking in the woods?
Well, they had to get born some kind of way. I don't know. I've told you this before. Have you not listened before to my dissertations on the deer? The mama deer will leave the babies in a particular place, like under a tree or next to some landmark, not just out in the middle of the yard. And then we'll go off and do whatever they do, looking for food or attending to goddamn other needs, and then they come back and get them. Because I got nervous a couple seasons ago when one of the little bitty babies was just laying there under the tree forever. And I'm like, oh, his mama got lost, or but no, they just stay there until they know somehow. They may wander around a little bit around the area, but they stay in the general vicinity. You didn't know this?
No, I did. I mean, it's not really hidden knowledge or anything about what deers do or deer do.
Well, then I was just, what a deer do? Well, you're all the time wondering what did he do? So I like to wonder what the deer do.
No, there is video evidence. We know what Diddy did.
Well, but he ain't going to be didn't it no more. Not for a while, at least.
For a little while. And then it's going to be, I think he's going to go just off the chain now. Now it's just going to be fucking baby oil. Everywhere he goes, he should just get out of the car spraying baby oil in the air.
I know.
He needs his own baby oil.
It's just the chains are off now. He can just act out in public. Good heavens. I don't care.
He ain't going to go quietly. That's the other eye. He's either going to go crazy or he's going to go quiet.
Well, what would be the matter with quietly crazy?
Yeah, I guess that works.
See?
Howard Hughes.
Yes, he can just grow his fingernails out, sit in the penthouse, and there you hitchhike with Mormons.
All right.
That's the Howard Hughes trivia bit. Anyway, I'm going to go out in public, I'll have you know, in a very short period of time for something that we will be reporting on here on the program later on. After it happens. We can't really report on it beforehand, can we? And so to prepare for this, like a good citizen, like a responsible adult, I went out and got my vaccination booster yesterday for the COVID and also got my RSV, which I have neglected to have done. Brian, you don't have to RSVP the RSV yet because you're not a senior citizen. But have you heard of this RSV they got going on now?
I've heard a little bit about it, yeah. Did you get did you get taken care of your HPV also?
Now that is the What the hell is I've heard of the HPV. What is the HPV?
I just thought maybe it was something you would have to deal with.
I think, no, that's a homeowners administration. I was thinking the HOA. But nevertheless, but back to the RSVP. So if you're over 60 or whatever, you could get the RSV virus, and this could be the end for little Corno. And because you're an old person and shit's falling apart anyway, and you get this and it's respiratory, and then you have no respiration. And as Dream Machine would say, they're ready to have some sad singing and slow walking. And then I got my COVID booster because I just told you about this right before we went on the air, Brian, that you had not heard of this, but it's been on the, again, responsible, legitimate worldwide news that normal people listen to, that the new variation of COVID is being called razor blade throat, where it's uncomfortable for some period of days even to swallow your own saliva, and you're tremendous pain.
I got it from Vince.
Yeah, the gargling razor blade, and then you sound like Vince in his withering years for the rest of your life.
Did Vince give it to Laurinaitis, or did Laurinaitis give it to Vince?
No, I think Animal kicked Laurinaitis in the neck when they were kids for being a goddamn goof. But nevertheless, this razor blade throat, I went to the pharmacist who deals with these types of things and these vaccinations and these boosters and these medications and keeps up on the latest medical bulletins. And I said, I've seen this about the razor blade throat. And she said, well, yes, that's what they're terming it on television, but it is one of the predominant forms in certain places. But the point is, any and all COVID infections don't go down in the summertime. They're going up for the summer because people, for some reason, decide they want to gather in groups and breathe and or sweat or slobber or whatever they do. And the rates are going up. So now would be a good time it's not like
that's right,
the flu season in the wintertime that you think of.
In the summertime, you'll get COVID and die. You better get a shot.
Hey, there you go.
Mungo Jerry, he'd be here today, but he died. No, he's alive.
Yeah, he's dead, unfortunately. But he would wholeheartedly agree with that. But the point is that for all the rest of you fuckers, they want to eat roadkill and swim in raw sewage like the black sheep of the Kennedy family, I say to you, safe a day. I got too many things going on with me already. Brian, I got the echoey, squishy ear again. I got that happening. Whenever I try to blow my nose and clear myself from the humidity that this tropical summertime we're having over here is, I got a painful callus, a come and go pain, a callus on my right big toe that I even soaked and scraped with Stacy's help because I can't bend that far anymore in a lot of cases, to get rid of about a month ago. And it's sometimes it's fine. I'm walking around minding my own business. And other times it's like somebody's holding a goddamn lit torch underneath my big toe. So I'm falling apart here. And I've told you about the vibration I got going on in the front tooth. The one that has the giant post in it that's been knocked out 4 or 5 times. I'm just leaving it alone right now. So I can't afford any more goddamn infections or defects. Well, possibly I can't have anything else defecting from full power here. I'm getting old. I have more wisdom to impart to the people.
Full power.
Anyway, I got somebody said something to you.
Who's this now?
I got somebody said something to you. That's an Oscar Gamble line. I got a card. We just had the 400th episode of The Drive-Thru, your show. Some people actually listen to that one too, as well as this one. The people who just can't get enough. And 400, is you were kind of saying, well, it's not really a monumental. It's not like 500. right? Even 250 sounds better than 400. 400 is just kind of in the middle there. But I got a card from Joni Aries out in the Northwest. Our friend Joni. Not the serial killer. Jodi Arias. Again, Brian was a serial killer. But she says, hello, Jim, because she's, you know what she did for a drive-through 400, don't you?
She made you a cake again?
She sent me a cake.
Filled with who knows
and she
what?
says, oh, it's filled with goodness.
Psycho fans sending you weird baked shit. Why would you eat that?
No, I'm telling you, she baked it with love at the store she works at. She sneaks in at night like that fucking a genuine, legitimate imitation Louis Vuitton shit I got from Jeremy Borash. It was a legitimate material. They just snuck in at night when they were closed and made it and sold it. Nevertheless, hello, Jim. Brian may not think 400 is a monumental number, but it is and thus deserves cake. Congratulations. I know the drive-thru is his show, but since he's previously stated that my cake probably tastes like crap or something along those lines, he will continue to get none of it.
All right, I accept that.
Well, perhaps someday a cupcake will come his way. But until then, Mr. Cornette, enjoy. Your Northwest cake lady, Joni. Thank you, Joni. And no cake for you.
That's all right.
All right. And I got to thank... Remember, I told you, I didn't tell you I read it on the air. I'm just... but Richard Hunter sent in... This is sometime, might have been a couple of years ago now. It might have... I don't know. The greatest piece of email, he was the guy, or the greatest piece of fan mail. He was the guy that not only had a dog that had been rescued from that piece of shit Michael Vick's dogfighting enterprise or whatever, but he was the guy that gave the first aid to Lamar Odom, the NBA player at the whorehouse in Nevada when he overdosed.
Is that how you say it? The first aid?
Well, it's not like that he was just happened to be a goddamn trained, outfitted paramedic, like on fucking emergency, all in gear, when the guy fucking dropped over from taking 18 million Viagras or whatever the fuck. He gave first aid until the emergency medical people could get on the scene.
We have to do this in shifts. I'll go first.
Well, he was a basketball player. They couldn't reach from one end to the other to push and fucking pull in the right. Anyway, he was that. Do you remember that piece, that letter that I read, the description of all those things? And I sent him a picture, signed, thanks for the greatest, fan letter we've ever had, whatever. And he and his girlfriend, Jennifer, not only sent a picture of that picture framed and sitting on, guess what, that he has in his possession. I don't know what room in his house it is. Dusty Hill's road case.
Huh.
The big fucking trunks that they open up like a book, and there's the drawers and there's the costume hanging stuff and the mirror and and it's got all the stickers. So he's got me sitting on top of Dusty Hill's road case. But they had commissioned, because they heard the show when we talked about it, and they had commissioned from this artist in Nashville the most beautiful painting of Harley Quinn you've ever seen in your life. Stace just melted as soon as she saw it. It's just like she's looking at you. And they sent us that, and a picture of their puppies. They lost one recently. Well, she was a senior dog, but you know what I mean. And I just want to say thank you to Richard and Jennifer for that. And also, Brian, as you may remember, it was a couple weeks ago, I ventured out into the great public domain to go to Outback Steakhouse for Stacy's mother's dinner. or Stacy's mother's birthday dinner. And I was talking about the Outback and the ice cream we had and the bloomin' chicken. And it's a, good day, matey, and all that stuff. And we got an email that was not so complimentary of Outback Steakhouse. And I just, it seems like that they're not trying to work their gimmick. And I'm hearing this now from a number of people that they're not working their gimmick anymore. It's just, they're slacking off on this. But this is from Gib, like as in Barry, Robin, and Maurice, even Andy. Gib. Hi, Jim and Brian. In 2002, I moved to the U.S. from Australia. My wife and I moved to Salem, Oregon, where my wife's grandparents told me I should see about getting a job at the local Outback. I'd get a lot of tips. So as a fresh off the boat Aussie, I walked into the restaurant and asked for an application. I filled it out and returned it with my resume. Upon that, the manager asked if I could talk, and I said, no worries, in the most Aussie accent possible. We proceeded to have a 20-minute conversation about me applying for a job. Then she told me, since you only have had cooking experience and you're applying to be a server or bartender, you don't have the experience needed for those positions, and they won't be offering me a job there. And I replied, well, couldn't you train me for those positions, as I have one thing you cannot teach your other staff, and that's being an actual Australian. Should having me being out on the floor would have more of a positive impact than having me cooking in the back, since your company's whole gimmick is to sell my culture. I've been living in the U.S. for 20 plus years now. I can honestly say I've been in one Outback Steakhouse since. So if by any chance management from the Salem, Oregon Outback Steakhouse in the early 2000s is listening, fuck you. I wonder if we've narrowed it down to the point where none of our listeners would qualify for that particular position in that era.
Do you think that's an easy hire, or do you think it's, he's overreacting? The idea that he is Australian, and yes, that is their whole gimmick, but he can't cook. He doesn't have any experience doing anything there. If he just wanted to be a server.
No, he could cook, but he wanted to be a bartender or a server because A, they make more tips, and B, he's fucking Australian. So I would say, well, we got a legitimate one here. Let's fucking train him for something. We can fucking make fun of him, if nothing else. But yeah, I'm saying that they're dropping. Everybody's dropping. Have you said Cracker Barrel now is apparently toning down the old country store aspect and just
less cracker?
Less barrel. It's more cracker. It's less barrel. And they're not working their gimmicks anymore. It's like Wendy's when they gave up the Tiffany lamps and the old newspapers on the Formica tabletops and the carpeting and the ambiance.
After we talked about it on the air, a bunch of people sent in photos of like McDonald's in the 80s and McDonald's in the 90s, and then the early 2000s, and then now, and it once looked like a fun hamburger place.
Yeah.
And now it just looks like cold and almost like it's on the wrong side of the wall.
It looks like the building, when you're crossing the border between the U.S. and Canada, and they tell you, pull over there and go in that building. That's where it looks like. Jesus Christ. Anyhow, you know what you're never going to fucking have to worry about, Brian? When you go to jimcornette.com, you're never going to have to worry about seeing anything cold and sterile and homogenized. It's all legitimate, official, licensed, and/or created merchandise by yours truly, me, including the T-shirts, the DVDs, the action figures, the books, and so much more. And not only has our friend Hotchkiss Featherbottom now got my rookie year photos. We found a stack. I think we got 82 of them. But it is my rookie year photo, my official rookie year portrait. It's not actually the first picture I had taken, just the first good one. From when I was in the business, this was 6 months or so in. I look lovely. We found 82 of them or whatever, as I said, and They are on the site now while they last. And also, we got like 10 lazy booking t-shirts left, and then we're sold out. And so there's 2 sizes. So either squeeze into it or gain some weight, but you can get them for half price. And now that I've said that, by the time you go, they might not be there, but it's not my fault. I warned you. JimCornette.com. And by the way, what about the official show shirts that we are selling? My sister she sews. See, the official show shirts that we are selling through Shopify. Brian, you can give people details if I have been alliteratively finished now.
Well, that's right. Powered by our friends at Shopify. We'll have more about them later on. You can go to ArcadianVanguard.com. You can go to the YouTube channel, the official Jim Cornette YouTube page, and look at any video or look at the actual channel, or go to the Shop app and look for Jim Cornette. Official drive-through shirts.
Well, don't look for me. You look for my name, but you can't buy me.
Search for Jim Cornette is what I
can't be bought.
Search for Jim Cornette on the Shop app. Drive-through t-shirts, Travis Heckel artwork, more to come. Support the shows. Let people know you support the shows.
And, actually, could we get like an orthopedic kind of shirt where, if you had a little flabby spots in places, they could support that too? At the same time, we could sell that to the...
Potentially, yeah. Actually.
Like, would it be the man's-ear or the bro?
All right. Someone's been watching his Seinfeld reruns.
Well...
You know what's weird?
Go ahead.
We have Seinfeld on here on Channel 11 at 11 p.m. every night. At least Monday to Friday. And you get an hour of Seinfeld. But they're not consecutive. So it'll be like the first half hour is an episode from season 2. And then the second half hour is an episode from season 7.
That's bullshit.
Yeah, they're great, but it's just like, come on. I'm in the zone of season 2, and then you go to where it gets all wacky when Larry David left.
No, it's on daytimes on the comedy, whatever the comedy network, Comedy Central, whatever they're calling themselves these days. And they do the strip with the MeTV programming where they're playing them in order. It can be done. Your station is just playing willy-nilly with the facts. And children could grow up and not know the fucking timeline of Seinfeld if this is their first exposure. They'll be all confused. What kind of citizens are we turning out?
You see MeTV has Dragnet back in the rotation?
Well, it's never... Well, I was about to say it's never been out of the rotation, but actually I think it was on antenna television. So see, I was still being exposed to Officer Friday, regardless of what network it may be on.
What kind of career would Jack Webb... I mean, it's all his programming. What kind of career would he have had if he had a high-pitched voice?
Well, no, what if he had come along... I mean, Dan Aykroyd in the movie was excellent at grasping it, but if he would have been willing, if he'd come along about 10 or 20 years later and been willing to parody himself, he would have been in every goddamn comedy movie of the 80s. Because the other night, the young professional couple get stoned and leave the baby in the bathtub episode.
Oh, that's the classic.
Where he gives them the speech about what this poison, this marijuana is going to do, and it leads to this and that and the other goddamn thing, and your fallopian tubes fall out. Not only is the most goddamn dramatic rendition, and that's what the audience that he was playing to in 1967 wanted to hear. But can you imagine if he'd have been just... when did he die? Look that up. When? Because he seemed like he came out of the womb 40 years old. But just the tone, it would have been perfect for airplane type humor 20 years later.
He died in December 82.
See, and he was probably
62 years old.
Only what? When in 1980,
he was born in 1920. So
good God, in 1960s, wow. He was 47 years old.
Wow.
Except for the dyed jet black hair, you would think of his demeanor. He was from the goddamn, Reagan administration and 80 or 90 years old.
How do you date someone that talks like that? I'll pick you up for dinner
And
today. I'll be
well, and that was because he was the executive producer of
yeah.
the series also.
And Adam
And
12 and a few shows.
oh yeah, but he had approval over the method of the acting. He directed some of them. He insisted that they do the bland, matter-of-fact delivery. He wanted it to be documentary style because that's how they actually talked in the goddamn documentaries in the late 40s. And it was like it was starting to get old even in the 60s, but it's goddamn hilarious now. Anyway.
It's amazing how many of the things became big parts of the culture, and they're kind of going away now because, I mean, it's not like the kids are watching it, but just the whole intro music, the George Fenneman intro, like so many different things became a big part of the culture. And again, it's kind of going away now. But, you know, it's on MeTV. Maybe someone new will discover Dragnet.
Dum, dum, dum. Well, we have been doing some segments here over the last several weeks on the program, Brian, about from my files, from, you know, shit that I've been pulling out of the drawers here at the castle and my voluminous paperwork. And we've been focusing on the TNA agent reports that I was instructed to give and praise to the heavens for over some of the TNA TV pay-per-view and the TV tapings in, was it August of 2009, leading into September. And then last week, we finally got up to the punchline, is where I did everything they asked me to do, and then they called me up and fired me. And it has come to find out because, you know, and we call him Russo, so we don't confuse anybody. But our friend Shitstain had talked Dixie into bringing in Ed Ferrara. And then they slandered me on the internet from an unnamed source. And then I asked our friend Terry Taylor, your friend of mine, for clarification on that it was untrue. And then an uncredited insider said, no, it's not true. And I said, okay, I'll have to start defending myself. And that's where we left it last week. And, you know, I got to be honest, so many people have been sending us comments and stuff on this and just enjoying it, because even though some of the people are saying, even though we heard the story before, it's, you know, we're hearing new stuff with you reading the agent reports or whatever, but it's more fun than the current stuff. And this is 15 years ago. Some of the people listening to us, Brian, may not have been concentrating on all this shit 15 years ago. I've come to find out. I just take it. I'm like, oh, everybody knows that. But not me, sir. I was 6. Have you started to experience that people are starting to be too young to know the things that you think that everybody knows?
Well, I definitely think there's been an influx of a new fan base over the last 10 years. You've had a lot of people enter the wrestling fandom,
the cult.
And yeah, I mean, you've had a lot of people who don't know wrestling before a certain point, or they only know WWE before a certain point, and even that's limited. But again, a lot of this stuff, it feels like it's yesterday, but it's a long time. I mean, we're 25 years into the century.
It feels
already.
like yesterday, but it was long ago. Janie was lovely. She was the queen of mine. I'm sorry.
It's 25 years into the century, and sometimes it doesn't feel like it.
Holy shit. We still haven't any better along than this. Boy, this one's going to be a fucking waste, but nevertheless. So anyway, we were at the point where, okay, here we go. And a lot of people I've referred to it, and people have heard the stories from shoot interviews or whatever, but the letter that I sent to the email, I should say, using correct terminology, that I sent to Terry Taylor as a stooge test that led to getting a very testy response from TNA's legal team of the moment. I don't know who the fuck they were. We'll find out here in a second.
Hey, can I jump in real quick?
Yeah.
You bring up that there's a lot of stuff that the fans, newer fans, may not know. A lot of them may not understand or know what a stooge test is. You may have to explain that.
Well, I will as we get there. But in general, a stooge A stooge in wrestling is a little kind of the same thing as a stooge in show business. The Three Stooges started out as Ted Healy's fucking guys that you stupid idiots that tagged around with him and got slapped, right? And they figured out he was a drunk and they could do it without him. But a stooge is also somebody who will go and stooge on you to the office. They will tell they're tattletales. They're tattletales. And that's what a stooge is. And that's why some people traditionally kept positions in various offices, regional or national, that some people didn't understand why that they were keeping because they were stooges.
Paul Jones.
Well, and sometimes, in some cases, especially with Vince, people were actually paid to be stooges and it was understood, but there was an element of professionalism that they would conduct their stooginess with, and they wouldn't go out of their way to fuck with the boys. And others potentially would. Anyhow, so I should, again, make the point that I did some interviews and I was in Ring of Honor and getting, some interviews with websites. So I made a point of clarifying that it all became clear what happened. And they had to slander me and plant a phony story so that they wouldn't be called idiots on the internet when everybody figured out what actually happened. So I grabbed the file because here's the thing I remembered. Hold on. Now, there we go. That's the letter. I'm sorry. I remembered that I had gotten this letter, obviously, because that was one of the most fun things ever of my life was, getting a letter from a law firm telling me that Vince Russo experienced extreme fear because of me. So, I had this right here in the file, but I didn't remember. I got a couple of other emails before we get to this point, and I wanted to read these. I don't think that this gentleman would mind being quoted because the last time that I heard he had departed from TNA because they offended him with the hard work that he had put in and the way that they treated him. Now, maybe that was certainly under the previous administration and the Canadian folks, but I don't know where Dave Sahadi is these days. But this was the director of the television show. The Monday morning after the Sunday night that I didn't show up at the pay-per-view, I believe this was, and they found out I wasn't there, and guess who was? Ed Ferrara. Dave Sahadi said, "Hi, Jim, let me get right to the point. I miss you. I'm not sure what the reasons are for your release, but damn, you were such a tremendous asset to me and everyone in the production truck. I have so much professional respect for you and always admired both your passion and your expertise. You are a great teacher. There's a void in the truck caused by your absence." So the director of the program was clearly ready to get rid of me, right? What the fuck? We've talked about that I was trying to help. And see, this is what they were doing because they were on national television, but it's still, even then, Dixie's daddy didn't have nowhere near the amount of money Tony's daddy do. And they were still trying to save money. Dave Sahadi, for the people who might not know who he is, Brian, the best thing I can think of is in the 90s, in the Attitude Era, the WWF pay-per-views, when they started having those cold opens with the dramatic voiceover and kind of an NFL type of delivery, NFL films, and the really intricate video pieces and packages that they showed. You remember those, right?
Oh, of course.
Well, Dave Sahadi is the one. He wrote the voiceovers. He produced the pieces. He did. I'm going to shortchange him, but like every goddamn job in the television production department and studio in Stamford, shooting stuff on location, whatever. And then he had left there, and they were lucky enough to get him because Jeff had a relationship with him when he was up there, etc. And he did great work for them. But then, because they were still budget conscious at that point because of, the creative causing the pay-per-views never to make any money. So they had a director named Tim Walbert who would do the show part of the year, but he had to take off because he did Major League Baseball. He was actually doing them a favor, by doing their show because he liked wrestling. But they couldn't pay like Major League Baseball. So what did they tell fucking Sahadi? Okay, we want you to direct the one thing he's never done in this production world field is actually sit in a director's chair. So that's why the producer of the match ideally will be sitting a short distance behind. I know you can communicate in people's ears, but it's goddamn better if you're talking to somebody instead of the IFB, if you're actually speaking to somebody. The match producer is trying to make sure the director doesn't miss anything that's going to happen in the match. In our truck, Dutch might be a couple of rows back behind me. He's watching the monitor, listening to the commentary that we're laying down live, and he's feeding shit to Mike Tenay and Don West. Don't forget the guy lost his leg in Seg 1. He's pissed about it, whatever. And I was able to help David when he first started directing because either I would have had the match and know where it was going, or it would have been told to me, or in some cases, I would like if I knew if they were doing what they had called to do in the match, then I could say, Dave, watch out, dipshit's going to do a dive out of the ring, camera left in about 15 seconds. He's setting it, and he knows where he's going. He's going to just dive out of there for no fucking reason. But at least the goddamn director can shoot it. Or other times I just, okay, they're on their own, which meant they're just doing shit that nobody talked about. But then I would just watch the hard camera ISO on the monitor in the truck where I could see everybody, and I would know about what they were doing, and just knowing what wrestling looked like. If somebody was climbing to the top rope on the other side of the ring, they were setting something up so I could help call it for him. And he appreciated that, right? So we established that there was no problems with me and the production end. I think we've established that, right? But people might be wondering, well, what about the regular office and or people on the talent roster? Because this guy, I'm not even going to call his name because I haven't heard it in a long time, but I might be burying him. He might be doing something somewhere. But he was one of the referees and also worked doing office stuff, paperwork, and some with television. And he wrote me an email that I printed out. Please allow me to extend to you my deepest regrets and my utter disgust about your recent termination. I won't pretend to say that I fully understand the situation, but I believe the TNA will be forever diminished by your absence. From my point of view, you always stood for what was right for the product. Your agenda was to advance the company, not yourself. And no TNA agent has ever put forth the time and effort into doing the job the way it needs to be done like you have. You have the respect of the locker room and the production crew. So it wasn't a locker room, it wasn't a production crew, and it wasn't really anybody else in the office. It was this one cancerous boil that would not leave things alone. And Brian, I left out one thing. I said, do you have any comments about this before I drone on further?
No, and obviously it wasn't the office in terms of Terry Taylor, because after you sent in your last report, he told you it was terrific. It was great. It was exactly what they needed.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. We need to hear things like this, right? But there's one cancerous boil. And that's the kind of communication I got from everybody else. And I had also forgot to mention last week when I was talking about the situation with the last day's production meeting. That was the day that I actually beforehand spoke to him in a private, personal setting in a hallway for like 2 minutes for the first time in 3 years. And I said to him, look, you and me, we've had this thing and everybody knows, and it's never going to change. But we don't have to be best friends. The team is in need. Jeff is gone. Dutch is gone. We don't need to let this thing go belly up. I will help you. That's an exact quote. I will help you. And for the first time and the only time in 3 years, I shook his hand. And ever that day and that taping session, I've never seen a son of a bitch again. But so that is the preface to the final letter that I sent to Terry Taylor. Oh, no, I'm sorry, it's not. I forgot. I found this one too. I apologize for giving you false hope, Brian.
No apologies necessary.
But this, because you know Tommy Fierro.
Yeah, of course.
Okay. Well, Tommy Fierro knew a guy. He knew it, because he's from Jersey.
That sounds
so
just like Tommy Fierro that I remember.
Like, I know a fucking guy. But the Sun newspaper website, and boy, have we been getting emails saying a fucking Sun over there. It's got the reputation of the National Enquirer. But Tommy knew one of the wrestling fan people that worked with or wrote for the Sun. And I haven't heard that. He used to do a website, not a website, but an online newsletter also. Hadn't heard his name in years. Mike Aldrin. Sorry if I'm burying you here, Mike. But basically, he says, Tommy, everything I'm about to tell you is off the record, but this was 2009. I trust both of you enough to keep it that way, but me too. Well, sorry, Mike. As of Sunday night, I stopped writing for the Sun. And they actually had a blow up at the Sun, possibly because of this, because a decision was made from high above that their pro wrestling section would now be interviews, photos, and DVD reviews only, no news and gossip. WWE and TNA were pissed off with leaks and threatened to withdraw interview access, photos, free tickets, DVDs, and all expenses paid overseas trips to pay-per-views.
Whoa.
They were bringing some stooge from both companies, from the Sun, because this was early on in this internet publicity thing. And the Sun had some type of name recognition over here from being around for a while as a British newspaper, right? So anyway, he says, regarding the Jim Cornette story, this was the deal, which I understand Jim is keen to get to the bottom of. I love the way the British phrase things. 24 hours before the story broke, and without doubt before Terry Taylor called Jim, I was tipped off by someone inside TNA that Jim was going to be let go. They didn't say why, but indicated that all would become clear at the pay-per-view. The story broke and Jim became headline news. We received an email from the, quote, senior industry source claiming Jim was a raving lunatic and went all Jack Torrance on Russo over the Eric Young deal. So, sounding plausible, and based on this source giving us accurate information in the past, again, they did a good job of picking we ran that story quoting said source, senior industry source. TNA were aware, but nobody from the office refuted the story at that time. And before I'd written a letter to Terry that I read last week. And folks, if you're at this point going, what the fuck, I should have caught up, that's all on the YouTube channel if you don't want to take the time to listen to the previous podcast. So a day or two later, TNA called and refuted the story. Stephen Godfrey, I haven't heard that name in ages. He was one of these that Dixie would hire these just out of college kids with these 14-year-old faces and put them in public relations or event promotion or marketing. And I had people, when I promoted Louisville, one of her promotions people from the office in Nashville, who fucking got the building here, said, "What is that, a 12-year-old girl?" What? It's just, anyway, Stephen Godfrey sent us a statement, which I understand came from Terry Taylor and approved by Dixie Carter. But remember, neither one of those people put their name on it. Then that was a TNA insider. And then he says, finally, Ed Ferrara showed up at the pay-per-view and all became clear. So what happened to my understanding of Russo had talked Dixie into giving Ferrara a job, and to make that happen, certain people had to be removed from the picture. So anyway, that's the setup for the next letter I wrote to Terry Taylor. I will take a small drink of Sprite while you comment on same as to whether or not that I've bored everyone or set a tantalizing precedent for what's about to come.
It's just amazing that here we are 10 years after all the problems that WCW had from a creative standpoint directly due to Ferrara and Russo, and he somehow sold Dixie. Again, no one's there to run interference. You were the last barrier. But he sold her on the idea that, I'm assuming, what will make things better, what will turn things around, what will give us the show we need, will be this guy working with me again. That's crazy.
And that's why I was a bit tepid for a while, even at Jeff, because Jeff's the one that called me and said, don't let him go too far. So I actually break down finally and shake hands with the son of a bitch. It's like, I'll work with you. I'll help you. And all for naught, because I'm trying to do Jeff a fucking favor. So anyway, the reason I said this was a stooge test, it's nothing official. You can just do things in different ways to find out whether somebody is on your side or on somebody else's side, or just caught in the middle and he is a victim of circumstance. And I've done this with a couple of people a couple of times, and always with the results I kind of thought I was going to get. But in this case, I just gotten, as I said, my website and just started doing email in 2009. And this was March 20th of 2010. I had been trying to find something on this new Fancy Dan email thing that I was doing. And I came across Terry's last email to me. And you remember what? James E. You're one of my favorite. Oh, this was after they sent me a check for the tapings I was booked on the following weekend that they, that they fired me for. They graciously sent me a check for that. So I acknowledge that I got it. James E., you're one of my favorite people. I already miss you and the French fries. Because every day after the production meeting, when I went over and got the cheesesteak and the French fries, Terry Taylor who was on a diet, but would eat a few of my French fries. As always, please give the lovely Sin my fondest regards and let's stay in touch. I'm certain we'll work together again and I'm looking forward to it. Your friend, Terry, who actually this is 2010, 27 years before that. Terry Taylor, I let sleep on my couch in Georgia for a couple days when he was a young aspiring rookie wrestler, and I was actually, he wasn't even a rookie. I was a rookie. He'd been in the business for like 5 years at that point. I had the apartment. He's sleeping on my couch. Anyhow, so I read that email and I said, you know what? Here's the thing. I now know that Terry could have at any time just come out and said to me in a personal conversation without Dixie on the phone, look, you know what's happening, or I try to tell Dixie, or I can't tell Dixie, or anything, much less actually stand up and say this shit didn't happen and put his name on it, right? He doesn't have to sacrifice his career, but he can at least tell me. But he wouldn't. He's a weasel. And the only two that I'm mad at, actually, I was still a little warm at Jeff. But otherwise, it was Terry Taylor and our friend Vince Russo. And I say, you know what? I bet I could write something right now that would tell me either Terry might get some entertainment out of this if he don't like the son of a bitch by this point now either, or elsewise he might go, whew, boy, Cornette hates that son of a bitch or whatever. But I bet you he'll fucking tell him. He might even show it to him. And this is a way that I can just ruin, because I know Russo, I can just ruin his fucking day. And maybe several days in the future if he starts thinking about it again, right? So this was, but since I had some time, this was what I decided to do. And Brian, have you ever done something where you write somebody you're mad at, but you're nice to them? So, because if I start saying, hey, Terry, you know what? You were a weasel. Well, then he's not going to read the rest of it. But if I said, Terry, I always liked you. Always liked you. We've known each other so long, but here's this other sumbit. Then he'll be into it, right? You see where I'm going with this?
I get it.
And also, it's the old thing that I learned from Jerry Jarrett. If you're going to try to work somebody, make it as believable as you can. Tell them as much as you can that is they know to be true, so that when you're working them a little bit, they really can't tell the difference instead of just making some bullshit up out of your ass, right? So I decided really I can tell pretty much the truth here and just fib that I have no ill will toward Terry. Everything else I can fucking have loose at, and I'll really fucking be behind it. So anyway, would you like me to go through this thing? Because and it was on my website all those years ago, the first one I had, but I've gone through some websites. So I'm thinking this may be new to some people.
So this is the famous stooge test email.
Yes. You are correct, sir. Terry, I was going through and deleting a bunch of old emails and found this last one from you. I don't mean to stir anything up, but I felt like I had to write and get some things off my chest. I've always liked you, and we've never had a problem. I'm sure you've heard some of my many commentaries on TNA, and I wanted to make sure that you knew that I wish you no ill will, nor do I wish anyone in TNA ill, including talent, TV crew, and office staff. If the incident hadn't happened when it did, I would have quit anyway a month later when the news broke that Hogan and Bischoff were taking over. The only reason I was ever there was I thought that TNA would be the promotion to keep Vince from having a monopoly and be an alternative to this bullshit sports entertainment. Obviously, with the new regime, that is not in the plans. But taking that out of the equation, I was glad I worked for TNA. It's just frustrating and disappointing to me. It couldn't have turned out better. If not for one thing, I could move on with no hard feelings, but that one thing is big and is in danger of consuming my life if I don't just come out and say it. You know what? This sounds like one of those fucking promos that the kids on AEW come up with, doesn't it? Hey, he bought it. Back to the email. I will say it because I'm trying to quell the burning in my heart. I hate Vince Russo. I despise Vince Russo. I want Vince Russo to die. If I could figure out a way to murder him without going to prison, I would consider it the greatest accomplishment of my life. See, now you can put passion behind things you really believe. I hate him for the money he's cost me. I hate him for what he's done to the business. I hate him for keeping TNA from being competitive to WWE. I hate him for the careers, even the lives he's ruined with his shitty booking and the irreparable damage he's done to every promotion he's been involved with. I regularly wake up from dreams in which I am in the act of murdering him. No, see, I'm working now. Not regularly. It has happened. Stace will tell you for about that period of time, it happened a couple times, but I can't say regular. I literally burn whenever I think of him. I've sworn to myself that I will willingly go to jail if I ever see him in person again, and he had better pray to his fictitious invisible man in the sky that day never comes. It actually never has, so this may in part have worked. I intend to make it my life's work and mission to fuck with him and anything he has ever had anything to do with in a wrestling business. Why am I writing you this? One, I got the irresistible urge to explain to you the depth of my abhorrence for this abominable prick.
What a sentence. Oh, my God. Wow. Wow.
Oh, goddamn, I'm hurting myself now. Oh, and then now I'm going to start baby facing again. And two, I want to make sure that you and anyone you care to share this with knows that I truly and genuinely wanted TNA to succeed and liked working with all of you. I'm no longer a supporter of TNA as a company. I hope it goes under quickly and painfully because of this. Because of the stupidity Dixie has exhibited in employing Russo. And apparently I'll see my wishes come true with this new direction, but I really did want to see it succeed. I still like everyone there. I'm only mad at a few people. Jeff for talking me into coexisting with that miserable waste of human flesh for 3 years to the point where I have trouble looking at myself in the mirror and not a day goes by that I'm not ashamed of myself for abandoning every principle I ever had and speaking to the motherfucker. And Dixie, not just for employing that useless twat, but for lying to me about the reasons for my firing and lying about me, letting some Russo stooge spread rumors I was fired for acting unprofessionally toward him, then not putting her name on the retraction while knowing it wasn't true. I mean, you might talk to Dixie every once in a while. Otherwise, I like everyone there. And I wish their hard work could be rewarded and they could all make millions, but they won't. Because of a lack of competence and judgment in their leadership. I will never again have to occupy the same arena or even city with Vince fucking Russo, but I still feel bad for everyone else who has labored long and hard in vain because of what he's done to the company's chances. I like you, I like Tenay and West and Keith Mitchell and Dave Sahadi and Bob Ryder and the talent and the crew, even Pinzer. And
See, now he had to know you were lying. Now, why did he know it was a work now?
No, because me and Pinzer used to fucking joust and have fun, right? And I don't want you or any of them to take it personally when I verbally roast TNA every chance I get. But as far as I'm concerned, Jeff should have way known better than to hire that asshole. Now I know actually he did. And Dixie, as clueless as she may be about wrestling, should have been more careful in whom she had trusted her father's money and more perceptive when it came to spotting imbeciles. I wish you all good luck. I'm sorry if anything I say or do causes you any problems. I hope one day I'd be in charge of a wrestling company with the funds to hire all of you. But here you go. But just so you know, I will fuck with any company Vince Russo is involved with until I draw my last breath. And if there is an afterlife, I would return to haunt his miserable ass. Either that or I'll will myself to live long enough to piss on his fucking tombstone. And hey, hatred is a hell of a motivator. Amazing. And so
amazing.
I'm thinking, you know, I can do this, and either Terry will see it and and move on about his day, and you know that'll be the end of it, or he might show it to the son of a bitch, right? And that will ruin his mood for sure. And I can because see, I remember in 2000 and. What was it? 2000. It had to be 2000. It couldn't have been 2001 because WCW was out of business and he had been fired before that. In 2000, Kevin Kelly and Bruce Pritchard were down here at an OVW show looking at the developmental talent. And I'm driving them to the airport and they had just been in Atlanta for a taping or whatever. And they say, yeah, you wouldn't believe Russo texted us. Hey, guys. See, you're going to be in town. Like he fucking walked off and said, fuck you to them too, basically, without a word when he left. So I said, you got that fucking guy's number? Because they got the cell phones now. This is 2000. They were up on all the big devices. We're in the car. You got that motherfucker's number? I think it was Bruce's phone. It might have been Kevin Kelly's, but nobody was trying to wrest it away from me. They called him, and when he answered, I started telling him what I'd always wanted to fucking tell him, but I thought of him, that everybody was always, don't do that while we work together. And then somehow he's never where I ever see him after I no longer work with him, right? So I started telling him, and he fucking, I don't know at what point he hung up on me, but it was like, you miserable backstabbing son of a bitch. I've always wanted to tell you what a no good cocksucker you are, et cetera, et cetera. So then by the time that Bruce and Kevin got back to Stamford, the next day he had called human relations in the, not human, human resources. Yeah. So, well, you never know up there in the WWE. It called and stooged on, because he had to caller ID whoever's fucking phone it was, and saying that I had threatened his family and was going to, hurt his children or some shit, and tried to get them in trouble for handing me the fucking phone when he was working in WCW. Anyway, so that's why I said, okay, this, and I knew once if he got to see it, he couldn't stop reading, right? It's Russo. It's about him. He has to see. He would be absorbed, and he would absorb every bit of this. So when I didn't hear anything about it this was March the 20th, I sent that. And then this next letter is dated April 9th, but it came in a Federal Express gimmick. So I guess probably April 10th is when I got it. But it's from Davis, Shapiro, Lewitt, and Hayes, LLP of New York and Beverly Hills. Was this the one that I looked them up and they were entertainment lawyers? Because one time they sent me something legal and they were entertainment lawyers.
Of course they are.
I don't know. Huh?
That would have been my first guess, that it's just some entertainment lawyer, but yeah.
Well, because Dixie knew some of these people in her public relations business. Anyway, this was via certified mail, it says up at the top. Return receipt requested. I had to sign for this. It was worth every penny of it. Well, it didn't cost me a penny, but it was worth every piece of ink of it. So I open this thing up, and there's two documents. There's a printout of the email that I sent to Terry Taylor, but it's not a printout of the email that I sent to Terry Taylor from him. It's original message from Terry Taylor to Vince Russo, where he had forwarded it to Vince Russo. So I sent that at midnight on Saturday or whatever, and Monday at midnight, March 22nd, 2010, he had forwarded the whole thing to Vince Russo. Oh my God. So that worked perfectly, but never did I believe in a million years that it would get even better than that, because the letter from the attorney said, would you like to hear this?
Oh, yeah.
The subject is email threats communicated to Terry Taylor on March 19, 2010. Mr. Cornette, this firm represents TNA Entertainment, LLC. TNA has recently intercepted a shocking and appalling email communication, a copy of which is enclosed, which was sent from your email address to the attention of TNA's talent coordinator, Terry Taylor, at his TNA email address. Upon review of the content of said email, TNA was so concerned that they have turned the email over to this firm to take appropriate action in order to protect the safety and welfare of TNA's staff and talent. Your email reads in part, and this is where I hate him. I want him to die. If I could figure out a way to murder him, I wake up dreams. You better pray I never see him again. It is our view that the foregoing statements constitute terroristic threats under virtually every jurisdiction in the country, including the U.S. Code 18 USC /Mark 875, And Kentucky state law, KRS 508.080, generally under both federal and state law, a person will be guilty of having made terroristic threats if such person willfully threatens to commit a crime which would result in death or great bodily injury to the victim and demonstrates specific intent to communicate such threat to the victim or to a third party who the perpetrator believes will convey such threat to the intended victim. Apparently, I didn't even think of this fucking idea. They've already had enough of it going on. They've had to write it down. Your email satisfies all of the foregoing elements, and it is irrelevant whether you intended to actually carry out such threat or not. Nonetheless, we must assume the worst. Indeed, the language of the email is so specific, unequivocal, and unconditional. You know, I always strive for clarity, Brian. So specific, unequivocal, and unconditional that Vince Russo, a TNA employee, has understandably experienced extreme fear for himself and his family. See, it's on paper. TNA management shares his concern not only for Vince, but for all of its employees, staff members, and talent, some of whom were specifically named in your email as being targets of your anger.
Who was that?
I said I'm also kind of mad at Jeff for employing the dipshit, and well, Dixie should have known better.
Oh, give me a break.
Yeah. Oh, wait, give me, hold on here. Accordingly, be advised that we have taken action to notify all applicable federal and state law enforcement agencies and have provided them with a copy of the email together with your personal information, including your home address, social security number, and other pertinent information which would facilitate their efforts to investigate any violent acts taken against TNA employees, staff members, talent, or any of their property. Any further threats or similar attempts to contact Vince Russo or any other TNA personnel, directly or indirectly, shall be viewed as acts in furtherance of such threats and shall be pursued and prosecuted accordingly. He is regularly taking out paperwork so that I won't cut a promo on him somewhere. On a related note, and now listen to this, but now after you're a fucking terrorist and, we've reported you to the federal government, right? Listen to what they're going to hit me with next. They saved the big one for last. Are you ready for this?
Yeah.
On a related note, it is our understanding that you were recently employed by TNA as an independent contractor and talent, and as such, you had access to confidential proprietary business information relating to TNA. Your email contained certain statements which discussed internal TNA management decisions and the circumstances surrounding your departure from TNA. Those matters constitute confidential information. Like the story that I've been telling of how I got shafted, right? Accordingly, we are taking this opportunity to remind you that the confidential information is proprietary and is not to be revealed except as expressly permitted by TNA in writing. As a former talent of TNA, you continue to be bound by your legal obligations and duties to maintain the confidentiality of such confidential information. In accordance with the terms of your various talent agreements, you cannot share confidential information with anyone, in capitals, anyone, including current or former TNA talent, and TNA will vigorously enforce its rights in this regard. Sincerely, Guy S. Blake, Esquire. They sent copies to Dixie Carter, Dean Broadhead of TNA, Steve Campbell, Esquire, which means he's a lawyer, Vince Russo, and Terry Taylor. And they also, because I was working for Ring of Honor, and so they sent copies to Kerry Silken and the lawyers that represented HDNet. See if they get me fired up there for stirring something up. So, Brian, I ain't no big time legal mind. I'm just a small town bird lawyer. And by the wording of this, being reported to the federal government, and especially the confidentiality of the confidential stuff that I was confidentially not supposed to confide in. That was some troubling verbiage, right, of what they could do to me.
Sounds like you're in trouble. Yeah. Big trouble.
So you would think if I was you or you were me or however this applies to this fucking statement, you'd want a second opinion, right?
I think so, probably, yes.
Well, so I wanted more than one. So what I did was I took the letter, the email that I sent to Terry Taylor, verbatim, exactly what they were upset about. And then I took their letter to me talking about the reporting me to the government and that I'm not supposed to talk to anybody about anything. And I got a bunch of opinions. I put them both verbatim, word for word on my fucking website and started fucking telling people, if you want to see this exchange, go there and read it. And then, and I believe there was a caption above it says, hey, TNA, here's what I think about your fucking confidentiality. And then, and see, if he hadn't written me, well, he didn't write me back, but if Terry had not sent this to Russo and Russo hadn't gone squealing like a little dickless bitch like he always does, and then Dixie being a goddamn mark to begin with, actually, how long you think it took a lawyer to come up with that letter? I'd say she paid for 2 hours. So this cost her, hold on, New York and Beverly Hills, this cost her almost $1,000 to have sent to me. The fucking goofy twat. And they all did this. And then I was able to have a reason to say, okay, fuck you again, and put it all up on the internet so everybody in public could see exactly what I thought of Russo, and he was embarrassed again. Instead of just being burned up and pissed off and scared in his own fucking home at midnight from an email that his stooge buddy sent him, he pitched a further bitch and got embarrassed in front of the fucking world. And guess how many letters I got about the confidentiality after I put that on the goddamn website?
Letters from their lawyer? How many?
Letters from anybody related to him. I'm still waiting for the first one. Because Dutch Mantell went in the office. Dutch did tell me afterwards one time. He said, he went in the office and, what the fuck did you think was going to happen? See, he said, you didn't just, he said, none of you just thought, just leave that alone. He really did. He said, none of you just thought to leave that alone. What the fuck did you think was going to happen? It's Jimmy. But anyway,
so you weren't really, I mean, it's a stooge test, but I guess the point of the stooge test, to go back to that, was you weren't actually surprised that Terry Taylor was a stooge in this situation.
No, I was thinking that there was a good chance that if I laid it on thick enough and poured it out, that he probably wouldn't be able to resist showing it to Russo, who probably would then, it would, as I said, ruin his day or his night or his mood or what, it just make him unhappy. Which is, been my fucking hobby for years and years. I knew that way he'd have to fucking, he can't hang up on me. He can't interrupt me. But bro. He can't stop reading because it's about him. So he would get a comprehensive summation of what the fuck I think about him as a human being, thanks to his good friend Terry Taylor. But the lawyers and the rest of it, that was just icing. That was fucking great.
And this is years before the restraining order, which also was available on the website.
Well, yes. And he raised, what was it? How many thousands of dollars was it for the Crusade for Children with that? Well, I raised it, but it was the only thing he ever wrote to Drew Money. But yeah, that was because he had to go and open his yap on the internet about something else and try to get creative, and thinks he's a writer. And so I cut a promo on him that was accompanied by a little stooge test that I gave to somebody else that I used to know and associate with, and they did what I thought they were going to do. And as a result, he was fucking crying and shaking like a dog shitting peach seeds and going to goddamn court again because I cut a promo on him on a podcast and it scared him because I'm good at what I do. But yeah, don't anybody think that it's a gimmick that I'm working with the way I feel about him. But I have, in the past, worked other people to fucking make him as uncomfortable as possible because he's a goddamn mark and an idiot too.
Hey, quick question, because obviously we're at the end of your run here in TNA. We're past that point, actually.
But actually, I found pre-existing paperwork from earlier in the previous 3 years. So we'll just go in the Wayback Machine sometime and we'll jump into that too.
Well, I was just curious in terms of other things for the future. Are there any, or was there much back and forth in email between you and Greg the Office Boy, or any Ring of Honor stuff that we could eventually get on here?
Yeah, there is Ring of Honor paperwork. Any email communication directly between me and Greg the Office Boy is terse, short, to the point, something about somebody's expenses, possibly mine, and not in any way pithy, but some of the things I have written to other, because I didn't like to speak to him, much less fucking get a writing back and forth with the fucking guy. But there's some documents of some of the other shit going on. And again, hate to say it, but that's why I had to bid adieu in my life to gutless Gary Jester, because he bailed on me. It wasn't quite as weaselly as Terry, but when everybody in the company hated the fucking guy, including me, and Charlie Haas was going to knock him out, and fucking everybody else was like, this fucking guy. But everybody was scared because he was Joe Koff's handpicked accounting fellow, that nobody would fucking say anything except me. And so finally, I said, Gary, you as an even more grown adult man, he's 10 years older than me and is 15 years ago, whatever. We need to both go and tell Joe Koff, as another grown adult man, that this little 26-year-old hatchet-headed fucking prick is pissing everybody off. And somebody one of these days, possibly me, is going to grab him around the fucking throat unless he tells him as a senior executive to a little dipshit to quit the attitude, stop being a know-it-all, stop talking down to people, don't tell everybody what to fucking do like he's goddamn Napoleon. And Gary was like, he's his boy. It's okay. It'll be all right. Well, and then that's the first thing I said to Gary after I was at the back of the building that night, when Mark Davis, the fucking head of Sinclair Productions, said, watch out, don't say anything around. He's pointing at a guy. That guy, he's a stooge. He works at the office. He'll tell everybody what you say. Good. I started screaming, I'm going to choke Greg Gilliland. I will drag his carcass across the front parking lot of the station. And I told Gary, I said, now, months I've been saying, let's just go and have a fucking conversation. And instead, there you go. Now y'all can take care of this thing.
Well, as Jim said, in the future, we have more segments about bad executives and bad decisions and lots of emails and correspondence to go through.
Correspondence to come. And if those correspondents don't come, then they'll go and we'll get some more who will. But I'll tell you what, folks, you don't know anymore about whether you just don't know anymore. You just don't know for sure what's going on. It extends to the food, Brian, that you eat. And we've got a new friend that can help you out that honestly, I'm amazed by. You know me, I don't know about some of the modern technology. I don't know that these things exist, but Stacy jumped right on it. Our friends over at Chef IQ and the Chef IQ Sense. The sense, because it gives you not only a sense, but a sensor that goes into whatever you're cooking. And I hesitate to say that it's a meat thermometer because that sounds too mundane and ordinary. Again, Brian, you know me and everybody else does too with the highfalutin interweb witchery and things. But as soon as I take this thing out of the box and I see that it talks to your phone, I say, Stace. And she comes in and starts doing cartwheels and round-offs and actually almost did a moonsault off the top of the kitchen stove. Because this thing, Brian, are you a good barbecuer? D, come on, admit it. Are you? Every man wants to say they're a great barbecuer, but are you really a good barbecuer? Or do you get distracted sometimes? Or you can't tell if you're using charcoal, what the heat is, or if you're using the propane, it might get too fucking hot.
I mean, you're talking me out of it.
Alcohol might be involved and you forget to check. And then, or somebody says, well, Sam, just cut that thing. Just cut it in the middle and see if no, it's not done. It needs more time. Well, then you check it 2 or 3 times when you've tortured the goddamn cow to death. But if you don't check it, then you're going to end up with anything between meh and shoe sole. So what the Chef IQ Sense gimmick does is whether it's steaks or chicken or fish, or whether you're grilling, or whether you're in the oven of the stove, or whether you want well done or medium rare or whatever, you stick this thing in there and you put it on the grill, or you put it in the oven, or you stick it, I don't know, up a goose's ass. I don't know, wherever you're going to cook this thing.
Not there.
And when it's ready, it calls your phone. And just, hey, your shit's done. So you don't have to check, and you don't have to guess, and you don't have to poke it or cut it. And, you know, I don't know how it works, but again, I think you said Suzanne was just over the moon about it.
Yeah, when it got here, I was like, oh, this is cool. And then she's like, oh my God. And she started really raving about it. She downloaded the app right away. And yeah, we're using it. She loves it. She thinks it's amazing. And I'm sure when I run the grill over the weekend, I may feel the same.
Well, you need to have her stick it in, and then you can grill from there. Because I don't understand how how does it not melt? It stands up to like 1,000 degrees. What the fuck how does it stand up to 1,000 degrees?
Well, that's proprietary information. We can't give that
again,
out.
How is the signal that it's a small thing. There's a few of them, the skewers of things, depending on what you're doing. But it looks like a ballpoint pen, and you stick it in, and it from the inside of the oven, it calls your phone. How does the signal go through? Are they in the walls, Brian?
They're not in the walls. Again, there's a lot with technology you may not necessarily understand. We're talking infrared. We're talking Wi-Fi. There's lots of ways, CB band. There's lots of ways to communicate. And of course, this wonderful product, this sensor, will communicate with your phone. And it's great. You don't have to hang around the grill. You don't have to singe your eyebrows. You could just go off and have a fun time until the meat is ready.
Well, yeah, the humidity now, it's a goddamn tropical rainforest out there. And without the rain, and you don't want to stand over the grill with the smoke in the face and everything. So you stick it in, you put it on, and boom, and you go inside the house and watch TV, and then it calls you. Anyway, it's amazing. And there is, again, a couple of different applicators or whatever, thermometers for the various things, and it works for everything, and it's got all of the instructions. I couldn't even open the box. The box started blinking. Holy, this is some high-tech shit. I'll tell you what, don't think you can get away with like carrying this through the fucking airport. I would think this has to be
Let's not make any declarations about any travel situations with this fine Chef IQ sensor.
Klingon hypodermic needles. Shit, they could, maybe Bones is giving shots
Once
with
again,
these things.
You can cook smarter with IQ Sense. You can find out exactly what your meat's temperature is. They have different sensors on the actual thing, so you get different how hot is it here versus how hot is it here? It's great.
And how about here? And you know what? There's a special little hammer that you can hit your steak and like on the knee at the doctor's office and conduct a reflex to see if it's done.
There is no such thing, but this is a great deal. One of those great deals we get for the listeners. It's barbecue season. Jim, how can the listeners get this wonderful product at a great price?
Well, remember, they're new friends of ours, so you may not be familiar, so I will say it a couple of different times so you have a chance to write it down with your pen and paper at home. Chef IQ, CHEF, Chef IQ, can't fucking spell that, chefiq.com. That's where you're going to see all about this amazing thing that will keep you from frying your face in the summertime and burning your roast to a crisp in the wintertime. chefiq.com. The promo code is JCE, and you're going to get 15% off. It's a flash sale. And that doesn't mean it's going to flame up and engulf you in some type of purgatory.
It does not mean that.
It's a flash that they're putting it on sale right now, just in a flash, and you're going to get 15% off right now. Act quickly. Chef IQ and bang your head on the table. ChefIQ.com. Promo code JCE. ChefIQ.com. Promo code JCE. Well, this thing is prettier than a speckled pup. And again, I think you can also use it as a communicator to a starship. This thing is some high-tech bullshit going on here.
Well, once again, it's barbecue season, but we cook all year round. Take the guessing out of the equation. Find out exactly.
I wonder if you can take a duck's rectal temperature with this thing.
Once again, not rectal, but it is directal to your phone, and you will find out exactly what's happening. ChefIQ.com, promo code JCE.
Well, Brian, speaking of a cooked goose, unfortunately, we have sad news to relate to all the fans out there, but don't get too broke up over it because it apparently happened a while ago. But, every once in a while, Uncle Dave in his newsletter, he'll mention who the oldest living wrestling personalities are around the world. And, I think there's a fellow in Mexico that's like 102 years old, and Bob Caudle, bless him, is like 95 this year, I think. And he's just a wonderful human being. But the oldest American wrestling personality for the last number of years living has been listed by Uncle Dave as Cowboy Bob Ellis, who this year, whenever his birthday would turn 96. And, every time I've read that, I've said, you haven't seen Bob Ellis in ages. You haven't seen him decades, I don't think. I don't know that we've heard anything about him, a picture of him. He never went to Fan Fest. That's odd. Everybody else from his generation made some kind of appearance. A poor fella. Hopefully he's not incapacitated some kind of way. Brian, we just found out a couple of days ago he's been dead for like 7 years. Nobody knew.
Surprise.
So that's why in the internet age, and I saw some of the kids on Twitter, who knows who Cowboy Bob Ellis was one of the biggest babyface box office attractions in the business. In the early 60s, we know who Buddy Rogers was. We know Dick the Bruiser, Bob Ellis and the Bruiser in Indianapolis. And that's why when I first started watching Bruiser's TV, Brian, I loved Bobby Heenan, and I loved, Dick the Bruiser and the Crusher and Sam Miniker, right? The announcer. And all of the Bruiser brought in the Crusher as his partner, or had Wilbur Snyder as his partner, had Bruno for a while as his partner, and the tag teams like Ernie Ladd and Baron von Raschke and the Valiant Brothers. But then it was almost like an alternate universe because they shot the TVs at the Expo Center in Indianapolis at the house show, and they'd have 3 preliminaries and a main event. And the main event may or may not, the finish may not be shown on TV, is what I'm trying to say. And on the week that it wasn't something involving Bruiser and the tag teams, it would be Cowboy Bob Ellis and Baron von Raschke for what seemed like ever. And they would rerun shows because if somebody was on top coming up, they'd put new interviews in, but they'd rerun a show featuring somebody that was on top. And I saw one Bob Ellis and Baron von Raschke match. It must have been 15 times. And at this point in time, Bob Ellis now we come to find out he was like 45 years old at that point. But apparently he was never a good worker, but in his younger days, because he was the real cowboy, he was the good looking, oh, shucks, well, folks, howdy, ma'am guy. He drew money with all the big heels, and he was huge in Madison Square Garden or the Midwest for Barnett or anywhere that he went. And then he pretty much kind of rode on that fame in Indiana for Bruiser, primarily in the 70s at the end of his career, because he was a household name there. But great, it wasn't pretty by that time. But goddamn, and
the wig was off by that point, right?
Well, that's the thing is he lost hair. He was starting to lose his hair, and he worked at Tennessee in 1977. I have pictures I took of him. I met him. He and Jimmy Garvin were the Southern Tag Team Champions for like 3 weeks. Imagine that pairing. But Jimmy Garvin before he was gorgeous, and Bob Ellis after he was young. But he still had a tan, and he had the fucking presence, right? And he was tall. But the point is, the hair, he tried to have the wig, and that didn't work. But also, because of all those years as a babyface and getting juice for the Sheik and Bruiser and, whoever else he was on top with. And one of his things was you'd hit him with a chair, you'd bust him open or whatever. He'd roll out and he would do a death walk through the people so that they could see that he was disoriented and they could see up close he was really bleeding. And he didn't know what was going on. And he builds the concern, and then he turns and he looks and he starts heading back to the ring. And he gets in the ring and makes his comeback. Now, the comeback, probably the least exciting part of that, but the people were jumping up and down for him getting back in the ring, right? So anyway, after 20 years of doing that, the story that I was told, I didn't hear it from him personally, but he had the dermabrasion done to his head because his head, all the gig marks, right? His whole forehead was scarred up. And he had the plastic surgery where they flatten it out or smooth it over or whatever they do to it. And he was like 2 years from retiring, and guess where he fucking went?
Puerto Rico.
Puerto Rico, and turned heel on Carlos.
Oh. No blood needed for that feud.
So he's a little early with that surgery. But anyway, point being, one of the biggest babyface stars of that generation, everybody else has been accounted for. A name of that magnitude that was on top for so long in the business, everybody's been kept track of. How the fuck did this just happen and nobody got it? Was he in a federal witness protection program?
I don't believe so. And Alan Blackstock, Alan Cheapshot on Twitter, was the person I saw who got it out there to everyone. And it was surprising because, like you said, it's been a discussion going back a little while at least. Every few years, who's the oldest living wrestler? I remember it popping up like around, I guess, 2016 or so when Ed Francis died and Lord James Blears died the same year. And they were both in their 90s. And it was like, wow, there was something about Hawaii that kept these guys going.
You think.
But who else is in their 90s? Like, that was the discussion. And Bob Ellis was always on that list. And again, he was a major star. I don't know about FanFest. Everyone has their preferences, but to go completely radio silent was surprising, I guess.
Well, and I guess he was he 88 or 89? He almost made it, but this was in 2018. We just found out. So everybody has moved up a spot without, or they always actually were up a spot without knowing it. I'm sure that gives comfort to Bob Caudle. You think some knucklehead's going to call Bob and say, would you like to comment on being the oldest American wrestling personality?
He'll hold the phone like it's floating away. Fans, we gotta go!
And so this from now on, is this going to be like a reverse Generalissimo Francisco Franco is still dead? Every once in a while do we announce, ladies and gentlemen, Cowboy Bob Ellis is still alive.
Ladies and gentlemen, Dory Dixon has returned from the dead. No, I don't know.
He's still around. No, he's one of them, isn't he?
I thought so, and then I started thinking to myself, he must have died. I missed it. But hold on, I'll check. Let me check.
I think you can probably Google quicker than I can imagine. But
no, you're right. He's still alive. 90 years old. Born February 1st, 1935. Dory Dixon.
Jamaica, Hawaii. Oh, I want to take you to who's from Bermuda, Bahama, or has a pretty mama. Something about the tropics.
He was from Jamaica, but he ended up staying in Mexico. He's in Mexico now, I believe, isn't he?
Well, it's still warm down there.
Says here he's a pastor for the Seventh-day Adventist Church, preaching about religion and physical health all over Mexico.
Well, and at 90 years old, travel must be difficult for the poor thing.
All right, well, watch out, Dory Dixon. But we'll be...
Come on now. What is this? Jesus Christ. We're not trying to curse anybody or anything. There's a few people in their 60s I'd like to see leave first. But anyway, I saw Dory Dixon wrestle on TV also.
Where?
He worked, he was partners with Bobo Brazil in the early 70s and worked Goulas TV. Believe it or not.
Huh.
Along with the original Amazing Zuma, who was just a little squat, short job fellow at that point.
I think I may have said this to you off air. You know, there's the famous photo. It's one of the most famous photos in wrestling history, if you really think about it, because it got into a lot of newspapers, of Antonino Rocca doing a split, like jumping in midair and touching his toes.
Yes.
And then because Zuma was a ripoff of Rocca, although they ended up working together, they did the same pose with him, and it looks ridiculous because he's a little chubbier, he's got the mustache, he's losing his hair, doesn't have any confidence in his face.
And his head also, do you believe his head, is this the way you feel, that his head was a little bit larger than it should have been for his body?
There was something going on, and it becomes even more amazing when you realize for a brief time he was a draw, like at Madison Square Garden. He was a draw in the Northeast. At the same time, Pfeffer was doing all of his things when Rocca was there, and then they all worked together. But there's another guy I just recently found in the Wrestling News Archive. I forget his name. I'll find it. I'll post it. Same thing. He's doing the pose. And he looks ridiculous because it's another ripoff of a ripoff of Rocca.
Well, and to be honest, Zuma, it was capitalizing on the Rocca craze. Here's a guy that does shit like Rocca. Let's keep an eye on him. And then they built to the matches eventually, and they sold out a couple times. But Rocca was, 10 years into that run. Zuma was zoomed in and zoomed out.
It's when you are literally copying the photos. Like, what can we do? Let's show them exactly the way. That's where it gets a little weird. That's like Crispin Glover not being in the movie, but you get a replacement guy. I don't know.
I got a picture of Tony Charles doing that. Jumping up and touching his toes.
No one will mistake him for...
Well, no, he doesn't look like anyone. No, he was warming up one night in Louisville. And back there was jumping up and doing that. He was in his mid-40s, just an athletic son of a gun in incredible shape. I said, let me see if I can get that. He did it 3 more times because you have to catch it, you have to be quick on the trigger finger. But I got one. And he actually was spread out a little bit more than, well, he was an old slut anyway, Tony Charles. Nevertheless, all righty then. On that note, would you like to talk about a little bit of AEW from this past Wednesday night? A little bit being the key operative phrase there.
Well, it's a big show. It's the go-home show for All In.
I wish they would have gone home. July 9th is what we're talking about, folks. And again, I don't know what they think over there is catching. They've got a stadium. People are going to this show because it's in a stadium. And they had sold 15,000 tickets 6 months ago, and now they've got 22,000 sold or whatever. Do you think are a lot of people like, shit? Well, we had the tickets for a year. It's a happening. We should go. But is anybody thrilled about what they have put together here and what they're promoting or trying to promote on this?
Yeah. It is AEW. There's always a bunch of people who think this is the best pay-per-view of all time before it happens. I think that maybe there'll be a walk-up. Maybe they'll get another 1,000 people in walk-up. Who knows? But they've got over 20, allegedly, distributed, I should say.
Yeah.
for a stadium show out of nowhere. It wasn't like there was a match that needed the stadium show. It was like, all right, we booked a stadium. Now we have to put together this show. They don't have the match. And I know some of their fans think Adam Page and Moxley is. But, Adam Page beating Moxley isn't Sting celebrating beating Ric Flair. It's not. And that's if he wins.
Well, and they've got a few people that are over that one would think that they could put them in a feature position and, it would be attractive, but the people they're paired with, I would say if this Mercedes Moon beats poor Tony Storm, then I think just put the do-rag and the blonde Fu Manchu on her permanently, brother. Hey, the people like Tony Storm, you can tell she's over with this audience, even though when these two get together, which this was the first segment of the show, face-to-face in the ring, it was 10 minutes of audition for an off-Broadway production. Both of them want to be actresses. Go ahead.
That's what made it really interesting, because Mercedes Moné is so unbelievable in this character that she's concocted in her head. It's such a performance, and the first thing Tony Storm says is, cut the performative shit. And you believe her. And here's timeless Tony Storm in black and white, a ridiculous character, and you're like, man, that's an honest character. Because it's true. She at least seems more believable, as ridiculous as that sounds.
She's more believably performative.
Yeah.
I coined a new term, insufferably fake, when having to listen to Mercedes. And honestly, with the thing with Tony Storm, bless them that they like it, but Jesus Christ, they want to be actresses and they're out there on a wrestling show with an unlimited wardrobe budget. But they skipped all the acting training and the auditioning and the part in the chorus, and they just had some nut say, you guys are horrible actresses. Let me put you on national TV. And why is it that the majority of people, God damn it, we'll talk about this a little bit later on also, they want to just beat me about the head and face because he'd fire Io Sky? Or he doesn't like the girls. I can understand if the fans of the female wrestling were the females. Says, hey, you're representing us. Now we get to see people like us on the card. But it's predominantly men. Men now want to see wrestling, quote unquote, where these women dress up in spangles and pretend to be mad at each other. This would have started a riot or emptied an arena at one point in the wrestling history line. And instead, they're like, oh, yes, Mercedes. What? I'm sorry. I don't understand. Do you understand?
I don't understand. I mean, I haven't heard anyone say she's a good promo, but she's a horrible promo. And again, when you're in there with timeless Tony Storm, who's a complete gimmick, and somehow she's down to earth compared to you. And it just seems more believable. It seems more believable that she would believe that she's timeless than that Mercedes Moné would believe anything about this character. She can't talk.
That she's the CEO.
I say she can't talk. She can talk in the sense that, like, she has whatever she concocted in her head figured out and she knows what she wants to say, but it's all performance and it's not effective, I don't think. People like Tony Storm. People like Mercedes in the ring. But man, she sucks as a promo. Horrible.
I have not seen the in-ring either, but nevertheless.
And Tony Storm called her. I couldn't believe she called her out. Stop with the performative shit. I'm like, man, she just said what I'm thinking on the
And but again, people who live in glass houses shouldn't throw machine guns. Or whatever that, because the whole show is people being performative. Well, you know what I'm saying. Don't you? You ought to. The whole show is performative. They're all pretending. Moxley rambled in a dark room. I don't know. Moving on. Bandito teamed with Brody King against Kyle Felcher and Take a Shit. Is Bandito now one of the hound dogs from hell? Or the hell hounds of the Delta? Or Howlin' Wolf? What are they?
I don't think the hounds are officially together until the other hound returns before he finishes out his contract and goes to where he wants to go. No, I don't know.
Is the other hound at the vet? Or is he just Tony ain't booking him?
Well, he had that bad injury, remember? We saw it on TV.
I can't remember all these fucking various different. All righty. On fast forward, it looked like they did lots of shit in this match, but let's get to the meat of the matter. This fucking finish, it's a tag team match, but they're in a 4-way with 2 in the ring and 2 on the floor fighting simultaneously forever with Aubrey Ed standing there, not doing anything as usual. And not only are you distracting with that law, you're distracting attention, but then Kyle and Brody ended up out on the floor, not even involved in the finish. They did a big move to take them out. So, fucking whatchamacallit comes off the top. Bandito I'm trying to figure out how to describe this. He climbed to the top, take a shits in the middle of the ring. Bandito climbs to the top buckle faced away from him and dives off and does a twisting, turning corkscrew backflip. And the idea was that Take a Shit was supposed to catch him with a big forearm in midair, right? Did you even see this to know what I'm talking about?
I did. It was one of 2 stupid forearm spots on this show.
Well, can you call it a forearm spot if his forearm was not even nearly in the vicinity of where it was supposed to be? Or could it just be a failed spot because fucking Bandito just flew right past him and crashed and burned on the mat? The elbow strike completely missed all of him. Not even a spinning appendage got clipped. And the people went, oh! They thought he just fucking committed suicide or something. And then Take a Shit picks him up and suplexes him. 1, 2, 3. What was the other failed forearm spot now that I'm trying to think of?
Claudio coming in. Well, as a forearm, European uppercut, excuse me.
Well, honestly, that's one of those things that I just buzzed right past as Claudio. See, now you're watching Claudio and I'm skipping him. See,
he ran in. He was a surprise run in and they did a spot. I mean, this was in the main stuff. I thought you would have seen this with Adam Page.
Well, maybe I did. It just doesn't read there. They all run in. They all run in and beat everybody up everywhere. I don't know what these fucking notes say. I watched it goddamn a day ago.
Now that I think about it, it wasn't a forearm at all.
The fuck? I don't know. Anyway, the next match was Ricochet versus Blake Christian. And again, Ricochet is they're paid him a lot of money, I guess. And he's a heel people don't like, but he goes out and has these organ grinders monkey matches with fucking every underneath job guy that can do spots. And Blake Christian, they put a promo up from him in the box during the entrances or whatever. It makes Michael Jackson sound like Lou Rawls. It looks like he has some kind of facial hair that looks phony. It looks like they put a fucking mustache on a goddamn 8-year-old child. So
we've seen him as a babyface and we've seen him as a heel in the limited appearances on this show, I think.
Well, yeah, but again, small, pale, nondescript, can't talk, bleh. And he tries to do his stupid shit to make up for it, and he fucks it up, which we'll talk about. Because this one, I don't even like Ricochet, right? as a talent or a person, apparently. But if you're going to fucking use him and pay him, why are you doing this to him in the booking? Is 5 or 6 minutes into this thing, there comes Bishop Khan and Tia Leone. He's putting together a faction so everybody that's not doing anything right now can hang out with Ricochet. But they come out when the child has just given Ricochet a 450 splash and got a 2 count. So now he's got to have Ricochet needs help against this job guy. With the heels on the floor in full view, by the way, of the corpse ref, Rick Knox. But did you hear what Rick Knox has been accused of now?
No.
Rick Knox goes to Max Schreck's family reunions and fits right in.
He's been accused of this?
He's been accused of it. They haven't kicked him out yet. So Blake Christian is trying to avoid the heels that are going after him, but it's right in front of the referee. So it makes no sense. He dives on one heel, he ducks another one, he grabs one of them's hands, and they do an alley-oop cheerleading spot to get up on the barricade, where as soon as Christian is up on the barricade, both the heels bent over, lined up and bent over and braced themselves. And the idea was going to be that he was going to step on one's back and then step on the other's back and then walk right to the apron. Bearing in mind that it looked as you imagined it did when they just bent over in a straight line and stood there. And then his foot slipped off number 2 and he almost fell off the apron. But Ricochet now draws the referee's attention, and the heels beat the babyface up on the floor. Then Ricochet dove on him, threw him back in, hit him with a clothesline and some move where he dropped him on his head. 1, 2, 3. And I'm thinking he didn't need an axe. A child. He needed 2 heels to help him by beating the guy up with multiple blows. Then he hit him with fucking 3 moves. Jesus H. No wonder nobody gets over. And they think that this is what they're supposed to be fucking doing. They genuinely believe it because they've been trained by people doing indie shows. And well, Ricochet had the opportunity at a higher education, apparently, and flunked out of that. So then the heels double power bombed the job guy. Why? It's meaningless. Nobody cares about him anyway. You already took too much effort to fucking beat him. Now you're going to power bomb. Is somebody going to come over the rail with a knife or a fucking gun? Try to kill you because you power bombed the job guy? It just next time you do it, or if you ever do it with somebody that means something, you've just devalued that. Well, that's what they do to everybody. What purpose did that serve? Amateurs. Your thoughts?
Can't add too much to what you said. Again, it went a while, but that's what they want to do. And the problem is also the promos. I don't know if you saw it. I'll bring it up here because Blake Christian's like another reminder of the guys they put time in and try to make on TV. And that's what TV time is. Even if you lose every week in Tony's mind, he's building you up. And Daniel Garcia, I just saw some clip from Collision. He ran out on someone and he was calling them out for whatever they said about him. He goes, "You said you beat Daniel Garcia. Big deal. Everyone beats Daniel Garcia." And I'm like, this fucking guy.
Daniel Garcia said that?
Daniel Garcia said that it's a big deal to beat him because everyone beats him. Sarcastically, it's a big deal. And I'm like, what the fuck? This comes after he ran out there with the crowbar and said, "I wish I could do something."
If I only had some type of blunt instrument in my hand that could be used as some type of offensive weapon in order to...
Talent development's a problem over there. But yeah, that's that. And Ricochet's stable is very interesting. We'll see what happens.
Very unstable. All right. Well, here was the set piece of the night. This thing went on and on and on as it just continued to evolve in worse ways. So MJF and the Hurt Syndicate were in the back. They're cutting a promo, just a brief promo. And then as MJF continues to speak, the Hurts go around the corner because they're going to get ready to do whatever they're going to do. And oh my God, what the fuck? And the camera goes around the corner and they discover a note on the not on the blackboard, actually the whiteboard, the white drawing board thing. Jet Speed have taken the tag team belts. They've left them a note, said, hey, we went ahead and took the belts because I pinned Shelton on Collision. But then it was signed Jet Speed, so I don't know who I and then the plural would be, but one of these numbnutses beat Shelton Benjamin apparently on Collision. So this is the beginning and the end here. And then the Hurts leave because they want to go find Jet Speed with the tag team belts. So already the Hurt Syndicate has joined the land of Lilliput, the Lollipop Guild type of angles. They were serious. They looked like stars. They hurt people. They got over. Now, I'm sorry, all you can call them is job guys, because that's what they ought to be doing right now. Small, underneath talent that has not been developed, and in Hong Kong's Fui's case, never can be, is now being put in a position to fucking make stumble bums out of some of the only stars that they have on the roster. So, but now it's time, because while the Hurts go looking for their belts, MJF has to go to the ring to meet Mark Briscoe for the in-ring talkie talk. And boy, as soon as they started and they were looking at each other, and you see the contrast between MJF and Mark Briscoe, and both these guys, there's an element of legitimacy to both of their gimmicks. There's potential here to begin with. This is probably the most interesting thing going on, because both guys can talk, both guys can work, and you got a baby face that, despite the booking, people still care about. But God, all I could think was if Mark Briscoe had been presented properly for the past 2 years, and I guess you could say the same thing about that for MJF too, this would have been the pay-per-view main event, and it would have drawn some legitimate money. I truly believe that. If they could have, instead of trying to please the fucking weirdo audience that's going to buy this shit no matter what, if they'd have tried to make shit make sense with talent that can get over and make people care about them instead of their fucking monkey moves, this could be Punk and MJF level type of thing. Anyway, MJF blistered the crowd. He just shut the fuck up. Have you noticed they bleep like later on? I think maybe a goddamn or something, but they just say they've quit trying to bleep shut the fuck up from the crowd. And MJF was good with hey, take a walkie walk back to your meth lab in the dumpster fire, Delaware. But Mark Briscoe, he's got the gimmick. He's got the talk. He's proud to be a country boy. He's worked hard. I've got riches too, my family and my friends. You're bankrupt. That's the word of the day. Morally bankrupt. You have no soul. And he said, and I didn't really like the way that they led into this, where Mark said, you're going to talk some dumb shit about my brother and try to piss me off, but it won't work. Let's not tell him what he's going to do when he's going to do it. But MJF put Jay over, and the fans applauded and chanted Jay and everything. But then he hits Mark with the thing, I pity Jay because he's got to see what you've become. And he's rolling in his censored to see what you've become. Goddamn grave, maybe, if I'm a lip reader. And if Jay was here he'd say, chicken, it shouldn't have been me, it should have been you. And that's when Mark gets on him. And they have the big fight. And okay, now we got a goddamn personal issue going. Imagine that. Between two guys that can talk and work, and people are into it. And then we got to here comes the dancing bears and all the rest of the clowns and the acrobats in the circus. The Hurt Syndicate music plays. And here comes Bobby and Shelton and MVP, and they get to the ring where they're still on the floor, but Briscoe is covered. And then here comes Kevin Knight and Spitball. And they come from behind and jump Lashley and Benjamin, and they've got the belts, and it looked horrible. They can't do this shit. It's not. Briscoe chased MJF through the crowd. He got fuck out of there. But then again, an extended period of time that Kevin Knight and our friend Hong Kong Phooey with the whitest teeth that anyone has ever come across have got all three members of the Hurt Syndicate that any one individual one could take the other two apart. They've got all three down, selling on the floor, and they were beating them up. But it wouldn't stop, but their shit looked horrible because they didn't know what to do. So they were just awkwardly trying to throw them around. And I couldn't believe it. They finally decided to have baby faces kick some ass, and it's not Swerve, it's not Paige, it's not Kenny. It's not Osprey. It's these two. And then here comes Christian Cage and his children. Pip Sabian and Nick Plain and Mama Plain. And they beat on the Hurt Syndicate, and they concertoed Lashley's leg 3 times. Brian, goddammit, tell me that it's insane that what they're doing to their own goddamn move, Christian, that stupid thing that I've always hated when anybody does it, the concerto. But if you put a guy's leg on a chair and you take another chair and you whack it as hard as you can 3 times, should the announcers be saying, well, this may hamper him when he wrestles in 3 days? What the fuck? Oh, yeah, that's going to hurt him this weekend at All In. Why ain't he going to the hospital? You fucking foons. So then Phooey tried a Phooey kick on Shelton and almost missed him, and then Kevin Knight splashed him off the top rope. And then Christian's kids stared at the other kids while the grown adult stars were laid out in the ring selling. And some idiots were on Twitter saying, well, at least after last week, they put some interest back in the match. What the fuck is the matter with people? What are they looking at? It's the worst build to a match in history, and I'm thinking the Hurt Syndicate's appeal may not recover from this. Let's see from now on how people react to them versus how they've been reacting to them, and see whether this was the shark jumping or the straw camel breaking or whatever point.
Now that you saw all this, who do you think's going over at All In?
I think you're right. I think one of the kids is going to beat the other team of kids, and there's going to be the Hurt Syndicate, not the champions anymore, with nobody to fucking work with and looking like idiots. Because Tony can't figure out a way to utilize stars when he accidentally comes across them. If they start getting over on their own, he can't keep them that way because it wasn't his idea and he doesn't know why it's happening. If he gets them from someplace else, he brings them in and diminishes them with the booking. Or if they salvage themselves from his booking, then they're still handicapped by the children that they're forced to get in the ring with that don't know what they're doing on a mainstream level. And in this case, the Hurts had avoided the bad booking for the most part, but we had been talking about the fact that there's nobody for them to work with to draw any money. Some idiot's going to say, well, that's why they're trying to get Knight and Fooey over. What the fuck? Go get two crackheads out from under a goddamn overpass. You'll have same opportunity at getting them over. It's not about just getting somebody over. It's about getting the right people over that are also stars, of which they have none.
Well, we'll see what happens at All In. Obviously, a very interesting build to the tag title match. Now a three-way match and the MJF Briscoe stuff. And typically, this has been the highlight of the show.
I bet you that they said, Tony or somebody said to the Hurts, well, why don't you put the belts on these guys? They're getting over so good. And they laughed. And that's why they stuck the other team in so that they can play amongst themselves. And Shelton and Bobby's professional reputations will not be damaged. They won't be over anymore, but they're going to make the same amount of money. I was ready for a good night's sleep, Brian.
I don't blame you.
And here's the things. I needed not only a good night's sleep, but I needed something to help me forget about the horrors I had witnessed, the PTSD of TNT or TBS on AEW and other letters. But, since we found the folks over at Beam and Beam's Dream Powder, Brian, it was a game changer, as they say. Actually, if you don't play games when you sleep, but it was a sleep changer. Because, folks, Dream is an all-natural sleep blend with science-backed ingredients designed to help you fall asleep, stay asleep, and wake up refreshed. And unlike other sleep aids, folks, there's no next day grogginess, just real deep sleep that helps you feel good the next morning. A lot of times, Brian, you take these other sleep aids, and the next morning you get up groggy and bleary-eyed, and you kind of rub your eyes, you can't find your socks, and maybe you don't know where your underwear is, and then you walk out the front door and you realize you got to go all the way home. And you don't have all your clothes. But not with Beam.
No, not with Beam.
That's never going to happen.
No.
And I'll tell you what also, Brian, Beam has improved over 17.5 million nights of sleep. And that is over 175 million sheep that have been counted. And 92% of users surveyed reported better sleep and waking up refreshed. 8% of the users will begin commenting again as soon as they're going to remember how to do cursive soon, and they can fill out the form.
We can't speak for the other 8%, but we could say that
some of them can't even speak for themselves anymore. They're refreshed.
It. We can speak for Beam, the power of Beam, and the Dream Powder. Yes. Of course, Suzanne has become a big, big fan of it. She asked me the other day, when are we getting more Beam?
Well, and Stacey's on the Beam. She's even got the little custom mixer that they give you for the Beam Dream Powder, because folks, it's gonna make you feel better, refreshed, turn your brain off at night from stressing and thinking about things. You're not gonna think about a thing when you're sleeping the sleep of the angels on the Beam's Dream Powder. You might dream. That's why they call it Dream Powder.
Might be a nice dream. I'll tell you what, that's right.
You can dream anything you want to dream and don't feel guilty, because you're not going to remember it when you get up the next day. So go ahead and do that German video scene that you've been thinking about. And for right now, Brian, for a very limited time only, Beam is giving our listeners, that's the people who listen to you and me, so they'd be the ones hearing this now, the biggest discount ever, up to 40% off. The best-selling Dream Powder, for a limited time, you can get up to 40% off when you go to Shop Beam, B-E-A-M, shopbeam.com/JCE, and use the code JCE at checkout, up to 40% off and a wonderful night's sleep. And you go to sleep anywhere. Go to sleep on a rock, on a bale of hay. You go to sleep in the median in the middle of the interstate, and nothing is going to wake you up, because you're going to be sleeping the sleep of the angels. Just remember to write your name and social security number down, put it in your pocket.
You will be fine. Just in case. Stay home, sleep, have a good night's sleep in your bed when you need it. Beam is there for you. Jim, one more time, professionally.
Yes.
What's the way that the listeners can get this great deal?
shopbeam.com/JCE. Use the code JCE at checkout for up to 40% off. You know, say the thing is, if you're sleeping in the median, sometimes people run over the median by mistake. So you never know. Things could happen.
Well, that won't happen. Stay home.
Don't sleep in the median, kids.
That's right.
Yes, stay home and sleep in the floor. Shop Beam, you'll just fall asleep. Could be on the toilet.
On your bed. Shop Beam. Keep going.
Shopbeam.com/JCE.
That's
for
right.
up to 40% off. Well, don't drink it before you sit down on the toilet.
Up to 40% off.
Might go into sleep.
I think what you were saying was up to 40% off. A great deal. Get a good night's sleep from our friends.
That's true. Yes. Well, there you go. Oh, there's more of this program, isn't there?
That's right.
Well, I have a few other notes. Did you see the big four-way match between Megan Brain versus Thecla versus Wayayata versus Ty Mellow Yellow?
I did. It was too intriguing, considering everyone's work level, not to watch this. Let's just see what would happen.
Well, give me a succinct wrap-up for me and the people who forgot to care.
They're putting Megan Brain over strong. Also, Thecla, or I guess it was Thecla. She and Queen Aminata still don't like each other and really slug each other very hard. They did after the match as well. Apparently, Queen Aminata, her place in this whole feud is replacing Jamie Hayter, who got injured.
She just came back from an injury, didn't she?
Well, now she gets to come back again with maybe a new gimmick. Maybe she can come back with a new hairdo.
Well, but I mean, what is the injury now? I can't keep track of all of these.
I actually don't know. I'll see what I can find out.
Well, I don't know that anybody's burning desire to hear it.
Are you going to watch the women's casino gauntlet match?
I'll see who wins. How about that?
No, what do you mean you'll see who wins? You got to actually watch how they get there. Big surprises. Maybe a big surprise will come out.
Then I'll see him on fast forward and I'll stop. But it's a 4.5 hour show, probably 5 hours. They're in a stadium, for God's sake. They don't judge by the size of the crowd. They judge the length of the show by the size of the building. A stadium show that's going to be 5 hours long, 30 minutes of multiple women running in. And
did you hear Tony Storm's comment at the beginning of the night? She goes, Mercedes, Texas is known for two things, and I'm one of them. The women's division heating up in AEW.
Heating up. All righty. Anyway, Samoa Joe versus Wheeler Useless. And they actually take the time for this shaggy curtain jerker to do the Boar Horseman entrance. He's all by himself. He's walking through the crowd. It's him. Samoa Joe. They ought to be playing the goddamn music from Jaws. Have him walk through the crowd and put this buttlefuck in the ring. And everybody be going, oh shit, that guy's going to eat him alive. But the other way around, what is the tension? We're expected to buy this as competitive, like Joe has something to worry about. And the fans were chanting, get a haircut at old Wheeler.
Yeah, if they had real heat, that's when you would see a fan do something, because they probably think, well, Moxley may be tough and Claudio may be tough and Marina may be tough, but I could take him.
Yeah. They'd like to take him out of the fucking show. So Joe won the thing in 8 minutes with a choke, but then Gabe Kidd, remember him? He's the one that looks like the great value Josh Alexander. He's supposedly one of these brilliant prodigies from Japan that is one of the greatest wrestlers in the world. And now he's signed here and he runs in and jumps on people. So he came in and hit Joe with the belt, and then Hobbs and Shapoopy ran out and made the save for Joe, because they're going to wrestle in the next multiple man, 8-man tag team match bullshit going on. But before we get there, Joe versus Wheeler. Joe won. Any surprise there?
No.
And then they had to go right into the main event. Paige and Osprey and Hobbs and Shapoopy versus the Hardley Boys, Claudio and Dick the Boozer himself. It's the same thing I was dealing with 15 years ago. Mark booking. Let's load everybody and all the top matches up in multiple tag team matches. Last week, when we read the agent reports, it was a 20-man gauntlet match in a cage to promote the upcoming pay-per-view where they were going to have a 20-man match and nobody was going to be in a fucking cage. And that's what you're supposed to pay for. People just stare now when the Buckaroos come out. It's like they're putting up with it, as everybody apparently is. They finally, again, you would think if they're going to have baby faces kick anybody's ass, instead of having a Saturday morning cartoon reject who's also the world's biggest fucking nerd kick the shit out of two legitimate, internationally known athletes, you'd think maybe Hobbs could be a babyface, could kick some ass, right? He got powerbombed through a table. He was a non-figure in the finish, and then Moxley choked out Shapoopy and Bell. And then we get the afterbirth, but before that, what? Again, even their own fans have to be sick of this fucking balding, boring bumpkin just choking everybody out like he's goddamn Hoist Gracie, don't they?
I think the AEW fans have been ready for a Moxley replacement, a Death Riders replacement for a while.
Pac is the smart one. He got hurt and got the fuck out of there. All right, so then after they beat the baby faces, then they start beating them up some more. And here comes Wheeler, and here comes Gabe Kidd. And I don't really know what they were going to do. Moxley got a logging chain, and the heels were getting some sloppy, fake-looking heat, and it looked like maybe he was going to do something with the chain. But then the Buckaroos pull out plastic bags, and they shake them out and tease that they're going to put the bags over the babyfaces' heads. But suddenly, on the screen, there's Swerve, a close-up of Swerve sitting on, looks like maybe a bulldozer, a forklift or something, but it's a close-up. And he's doing a promo kind of calmly. And they just all stopped what they were doing, and nobody even tried to get away or anything while they're listening to Swerve. Calmly cuts the promo, and then the camera pulls out, and he's on one of those earth digger machines. And he's in front of the Buckaroos stretch limo that they've pulled up in at the beginning of the night. And I swear to God, somebody's been boning up on their 1999 Steve Austin. They had the fucking earth moving machine flatten the limousine. Brian, how much fucking money do you think that shot cost to do absolutely nothing? Nothing. Didn't change one goddamn ticket being bought.
I actually don't know.
It was just marks being able to do a spot from their favorite television show when they were kids.
Well, that's what a lot of this is. It's like Attitude Era for kids. That's what it is. They established they had a limo, a week ago? And they drove it here to this town so they could do this? It's bad comedy. It's again, they stopped the beatdown to watch the video, but that happens everywhere. You can't really blame just these guys for it. Everyone does that, but...
Well, then the Bucks run to the back, and they're shooting them seeing the limousine and having a big fake flip out about it that you can tell they're not really upset, and they're not even trying. Well, in the arena, the fight is continuing. And Joe and the other baby faces were at it. They made a big comeback, and Osprey did a fucking flip. And they kept going with the fight. And then Paige and Moxley ended up standing and looking at each other in the middle of the ring. And they just stood there and looked at each other forever until I guess Schaefer remembered, oh shit. And she ran and grabbed Moxley and pulled him out. And then after that, we go back to the parking lot, and there again, the mayors of Munchkinland are standing in front of their limousine, and all pissed off and everything and faking being mad. And then they look to their left, camera right, and Swerve jumped off the Earth Digger and gave him a double stomp. Like they couldn't see this motherfucker 10 feet away from them.
Did you hear what they said when they got out there? They go, "Oh, look at the limo. We'll be financially ruined." What?
Yeah. They can't even try. They can't even try. So, yeah, this promotes, what are these matches again?
Anarchy in the arena. No, they just did that.
But they tell you 15 times during the course of the show what all the matches are, but because they tell you what all the matches are for every goddamn show, and then you have multiple man shit like this, what the fuck is going on?
I think it's Moxley versus Page, Bucks versus Ospreay and Swerve, maybe the Ops versus Gabe Kidd and the BCC friend, or not BCC, Death Riders.
And the three teams... in the
that one that'll be a big plus surprises. I mean, who knows? Maybe Sting will come down from the rafters.
Last week we talked about the Von Erichs, and somebody just tweeted out today. I wonder if the Von Erichs, apparently they have a title in Ring of Honor. The Von Erichs have some kind of belts in Ring of Honor.
Oh, I didn't know that.
They haven't been advertised for this show in Dallas, Texas. Kevin, they just put out on the internet, Kevin signed some kind of Legends deal like a week or so ago with AEW. They haven't announced Kevin Von Erich will be in Dallas, Texas. What do you want to bet he's a surprise?
To himself.
They got an 80,000 seat stadium, but it's set up for 25,000. So if they sell 2,500 more tickets, they'll be sold out.
I wouldn't just book them. I'd say invite your friends.
Exactly. And his friends would sell more tickets. Goddamn, advertise Brian Adidas is going to show up.
Well, anyhow, AEW Dynamite, another banner episode of AEW Dynamite. And of course, that was the go-home show for the big pay-per-view extravaganza coming up this weekend as we are recording, all in Texas. But as we do every week, Jim, why don't we talk about these big ratings?
The big ratings.
The big ratings, AEW Dynamite on Wednesday, July 9th, 2025, from 8 to 10:08 p.m., on average, watched by 637,000 viewers.
Okay, so that sounds to me like that's better than last week, but worse than the week before. But am I just misremembering this?
I don't remember 2 weeks ago. Last week was 584. The 4 week
They're still in the pocket.
Yeah, the 4 week average is 632.
Yeah, so this is the same people. But where did they start and where did they end up? That's always the thing that tells the story.
Well, let's go to the story. This was compiled by WrestleNomics, the quarter-hour breakdown. Quarter 1, 8 to 8:15 p.m. The Mercedes Moné, Tony Storm live angle, the Jon Moxley promo. Every one of these promos where he wants to sound like whatever he's trying to do, he always has a second camera there. Have you noticed that? It's Moxley.
Yeah, yes.
There's always like a camera off to the side filming it too, for no good reason.
That's an artistic treatment that they're doing these days with television shows.
Is this the character that should have artistic, cinematography in his promos? I don't think so. Also, the Young Bucks angle, 732,000 viewers.
Okay, that's better than some of their lead-ins or their opening quarters here lately. Not what it used to be, but respectable. But of course, they've got plenty of room to fall.
We go to quarter 2, 8:15, 8:30 p.m. Bandito and Brody King. The team is listed here as Proto Sheeta. The team of the Prototype, I think it is. Is he the Prototype? He's something. Proto Star, Kyle Fletcher, and Takeshita with picture-in-picture. 643,000 viewers.
Ouch. Okay. Now, again, we're starting. I was disregarding it as just an anomaly for a while there. But whereas before they started with a big number in the first quarter and then steadily dropped through the show to end up in the toilet, now they're starting with a smaller number and they still lose a lot in the first 15 minutes, but sometimes it's so much that it goes back up later in the program. So they're fluctuating with this smaller audience. They pick and choose what they want. They can't keep dropping like that. That's 6 to 89,000 people in one quarter. They won't make their average.
Well, we go to quarter 3, 8:30 to 8:45 p.m. The Outrunners backstage promo, an ad break, FTR and Stokely Hathaway and the Patriarchy's backstage angle.
I skipped all this.
Followed by the start of Ricochet versus Blake Christian with picture-in-picture. 604,000 viewers.
Okay, Ricochet does a number on 39,000 more people. So now they're down about 128,000 from the start of the show, and we're only 45 minutes in. They got to come back up almost.
We go to quarter 4, 8:45 to 9 p.m. The end of Ricochet versus Blake Christian. The post-match with the Gates of Agony. The Hurt Syndicate's backstage angle, looking for their belts. Kazuchika Okada and Kenny Omega video, an ad break, and the start of the MJF Mark Briscoe live promo. 622,000 viewers.
There's plus 18,000, and coincidentally, the Hurt Syndicate and MJF show up. Let's see, what's the top of the hour when we're into the Hurts? How badly were they hurt?
We go to the big 9 o'clock hour, quarter 5, 9 to 9:15 p.m. The Hurt Syndicate Mark Briscoe Jet Speed Patriarchy live angle coming out of that previous segment. And the start of Megan Bayne versus Ty Mello versus Tekla versus Queen Aminata with picture-in-picture. 678,000 viewers.
There you go. They got 56,000 at the top of the hour, and because the stars are on the program. But now the question is, after they've seen that fiasco, did they want to stick around?
We go to quarter 6, 9:15 to 9:30 p.m. Megan Bayne, the continuation of that match, I'm not going to list everyone again. The post-match, backstage angle with Tekla and Queen Aminata, Mark Briscoe's backstage promo, and the start of Samoa Joe versus Wheeler Yuta. 620,000 viewers.
Good, and they lost almost exactly the same amount they gained. 2,000 more.
We go to quarter 7, 9:30 to 9:45 p.m. The continuation of Joe versus Yuta, the post-match with the Death Riders and the Ops, and an ad break. They were picture-in-picture during the match. 596,000 viewers.
Yeah, and there's nothing to hang around for at this point. So are we going to limp out like a whipped dog?
Well, we go to quarter 8. I remind you, whip him like a dog. Quarter 8, I remind you of an 8-minute overrun. Quarter 8, 9:45 to 10 p.m. Adam Page, the Ops, and Will Ospreay versus Death Riders and the Young Bucks with picture-in-picture. 606,000 viewers.
Also, 10,000 people from Rancho Cucamonga dropped in.
8-minute overrun. The post-match including Swerve Strickland, Gabe Kidd, Nana, and a limousine. 620,000 viewers.
And poor Modern Family fans wandering in, hoping that this will be over soon. So you get a highest quarter hour besides the open, which always is. It's for the top of the second hour when they had MJF and the Hurt Syndicate out. And otherwise, everybody's, and then they start dropping off at the end because they know that the cause is lost. Although the Buckaroos, they didn't get the lowest segment. They just about tied for it, 604 and 606. So that's good for them.
It says something that the Hurt Syndicate stuff still gets the most interest. And we've seen this play out for a while now.
But let's see how long that continues. Let's see what the reactions are in the buildings going forward, and let's see what the numbers are on the ratings.
Did you see any of that ridiculous online chatter this weekend? I think it may have been a wrestler, an indie wrestler or something that started it. And it was like, for those who think that it's crazy that Mike Bailey would be in there with Bobby Lashley, Mike Bailey's a 4th degree black belt. He would be able to take Bobby Lashley easily.
Oh, good God. What?
And then other people, like, you're out of your fucking mind. And other people would say, yeah, Mike Bailey is a legitimate 4th degree black belt. And other people say, yeah, Bobby Lashley did MMA. He trained in the military.
So was my cousin Larry. He is a goddamn, yes, 50 years ago or whatever, but you can do that in karate school. Bobby Lashley wrestled in the fucking armed services. He was nationally ranked as an amateur. He's fought MMA. Look at the fuck of him. What kind of moron thinks this? Is that the same one that thinks Moxley's amateur level jiu-jitsu tournament stretchings in Newport somehow qualify him as goddamn Randy Couture?
I don't know.
Is it, you know what? The most dangerous fans are the fans who just know enough about real sports to be dangerous. Because they will say any goddamn stupid thing. Anyway, I guarantee I'll put some money. If anybody wants to arrange that, if we call up Dana White and he get Trump's dick out of his mouth, or if anybody wants to set that, MVP could make some money on it. I'll put up $100,000 on Bobby Lashley against Hong Kong Phooey just to fucking see it.
Well, and I've seen now who apparently started. Apparently, Jelly Natello was fighting with fans.
Okay.
And he said Mike Bailey's a 4th degree black belt. He would have a real shot at beating Bobby Lashley in a real fight if he kicked him in the jaw. And then that was doubled down by Cheeseburger.
You know what? Wait a minute. Hold on. I'd have a hell of a shot at knocking Mike Tyson out if I hit him in the head with a sledgehammer.
Yeah.
Is he supposed to just stand there and wait on it?
And then the wrestler known as Cheeseburger chimed in and said, Speedball could legitimately kill 90% of the people in pro wrestling.
Oh, Christ.
And likely 100% of the people that complain about wrestling on the internet. Thankfully, he's a nice guy. Do you think Mike Bailey could kill 90% of the wrestlers in the business?
Oh, please. Hello. But we're all, thankfully, we have been saved the horror of if Spitball Hong Kong Phooey had a bad temperament. Imagine the chaos and the carnage he could wreak across the land. Thankfully, he's a nice guy. Because none of these guys have athletic backgrounds. So when somebody can say, yeah, I'm a 4th degree black belt from fucking so-and-so karate school in this strip mall in fucking Inglewood or whatever. Oh, wow. Don't fuck with him. She said, what do you think Kurt Angle would have said if he'd come up and say, yeah, I'm a 4th degree black belt? Well, good. Take it, wrap it around your neck and tie it to my bumper because I'm going to drag you along through this.
How fast do you think Lashley or Shelton or even fucking MVP?
Shelton.
MVP's a black belt.
Well, yeah, but MVP walking with a fucking cane right now. I'd hate for him to have to hurt himself killing fucking Spitball. But Shelton, again, I'm sorry, I've personally witnessed friendly skirmishes between Shelton Benjamin and Brock Lesnar in training situations. And no, no. It's a whole different fucking level that's why they don't even consider themselves professional athletes. They're entertainers. That's why when somebody has the slightest modicum of a legitimate athletic background, they're like, oh, wow. The fuck? I hope Dan Severn doesn't ever piss Spitball off. Poor Dan. I hesitate to think what Phooey would do to him.
I saw someone use him in an argument the other day, too. They're like, Kenny Omega really did MMA. Look, he even fought Dan Severn. And it's like, well, I hate to break it to you, but not all those fights were fights.
Dan Severn's worked more MMA than he has fucking pro wrestling. I think now, since he's retired from competition, I can fucking say that without hurting him or anything, but what the fuck? It's ridiculous. They all need to get a new business, don't they? A new line of work, Brian.
All of them, yes.
That's what they all need. And what if they can't do anything, you say? You say, what if, that's what you say, what if they can't do anything? What if Spitball Mike Bailey can't do any goddamn thing on this planet? What if he can't design a website? Well, Shopify can jump right in there and they got you with beautiful, ready-to-go templates to match your brand style. And let's say that this knucklehead, he needs a hand with these things. He just can't do it on his own. Shopify is right there. Everyday tasks like enhancing the product images, writing the product descriptions, generating discount codes. Shopify has tools created for commerce. All that AI stuff you hear about. What if people haven't heard about your brand, Bailey? You really need to listen to this. If nobody knows who you are, Shopify will help you find your customers because they'll do the easy-to-run email and social media campaigns that will have you on the tip of everyone's tongue. They will know who you are. They'll be talking about you, usually behind your back, but they'll be talking about you. And what if you get stuck? Shopify is always around to share advice with their award-winning 24/7 customer support. If you need help, you call them, they'll help you. You got a question, you call them, they'll answer you. You don't want to pay them for their services, they'll find you. You don't need to call them, but it's not going to cost you that much money because right now, folks, you can turn those mere pipe dreams, those mere fantasies, those mere delusions, you can turn them into cold, hard cash and a big cha-ching. There it is now. That's what you're going to hear. When you go to shopify.com/JCE and sign up right now for your $1 a month trial period, $1 a month for them to basically take over and deliver you to the promised land. They'll do everything for you. Well, they're not going to reach around. You're going to have to do that yourself. But folks, Shopify.com/JCE for a $1 a month trial period. Get yourself out there. Get your product out there. Make money and hear that magic sound of that no good, dirty old woman with her stolen dog in the basket riding her bicycle past your window in a storm.
That's not that sound. That's the Shopify sound.
That's the sound of making money.
Ka-ching.
Ka-ching. Actually, it says cha-ching here. Is it ka-ching or cha-ching?
I didn't realize there was a phonetic spelling for you there.
Chaka-Khan or cha-ching or shushing. That's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to shush and let you go now to Shopify.com/JCE. $1 a month trial period. Let them start your empire. Sell your product. Make your name a major name and recognized around the world. Hold you up to the most exclusive of standards and make sure that you retire the benefit of your hard work. Now you'll have your feet up. You'll be old. You'll be sipping a pina colada under a palm tree. And that's where you're going to be. And then Shopify will just carry on and make money off your corpse after you're dead. But we don't need to talk about that right now.
Yeah, we don't, because that's not the way it's going to work. But they are there for you.
Yeah, if you die while they're running your business, then they're just going to take it over and run.
Again, that's not how it works either. But ladies and gentlemen, Shopify.
Well, they want your legacy. They want your legacy.
You hear that, Jim? You hear that noise? You know what that means.
The legacy continues on.
The legacy continues. Your legacy will continue. And our friends at Shopify, of course, they power our store. They can power yours. One more time, Jim.
Yes. Shopify. Cha-ching.com/JCE. All right. Well, before we go today, we are going to continue our project. I don't know how much farther we're going to get. I'm looking at the sheets that we did the other day, but we've been looking at the WWE roster as we did the AEW roster. We dumped some people. We kept some people. I've got that list for AEW. We're going to polish that up at some point. But first, we are doing the same thing, separating the the stooges from the stars, as they say in the WWE, we've kept a lot more than we kept in AEW. But of course, they have people like Gunther and fucking Punk and fucking Drew and fucking blah, 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 and on, Braun Breaker and on. But I know a lot of people, and you made me put down EO Sky. We kept EO Sky. Good Lord, she does have a lot of fans, and they're all men. And I'm wondering but nevertheless. Another thing, well, people are like tweeting, well, goddamn, you're not keeping any of the NXT people. You say you haven't seen them. Yeah, we haven't seen them on the main roster. We are not making a list of every goddamn potential possible good wrestler in the world. We're going with the WWF roster, who I would keep, who I don't particularly want to keep, and let's leave developmental alone because we have to have new talent to come in later on and replace somebody. So there's 300 fucking people. I'm saying if somebody has potential, fine. I'm not saying they should all be shot off in a rocket ship to the moon, but we're not keeping them right now. Does that make any sense to anybody?
Well, the two biggest complaints I heard were Jim is wiping out the mid-card and that Jim doesn't watch enough. And that complaint is never about anyone from Raw or SmackDown. It's exclusively about NXT.
Yeah, well, yeah. And wiping out the mid, they're not on the mid-card yet. But if we're wiping out the mid-card, I have Alex Shelley. I have Apollo Crews. I have, hold on here, old Chris Sabin. I have Dexter Loomis. I have Eric and Ivar, the Raiders. I have Elia. I have Javon Evans that you say, oh, we got to keep him. Jordan Grace. There's a number of names that I would term mid-card at this point.
Well, everyone has their favorites, and some people have their pom-poms out in full effect, but let's get back to this list. Of course, the first time, Jim, we went based on WWE.com/superstars from the champions and then A to J, and that's as far as we got. So I guess there's a lot of NXT names here. Should I skip the names or should I at least give you the names? See what you think of the names.
Well, no, read the names and we will just, again, we're not making a list of every goddamn promising wrestler in the world. We got a WWE roster and an AEW roster. What can we do with each one of them? It doesn't mean there has to be. Have people forgotten that it was not a common thing for there to be more than 40 wrestlers or so working for a promotion, 50 in the days of the Crockett's running 3 towns a night or Vince or whatever. But 200 people on a roster is just because they've got so much money now they don't know what to do with it. And there's no place else for anybody to work.
Well, Jim, what would you do with Kairi Sane? Kairi Sane.
Is everybody going to get mad at me when I say we got Asuka, we got Kairi Sane, we got goddamn
you threw Asuka
Io Sky, we have...
You got rid of Asuka, for the record. You made me choose between Asuka and Io Sky. It was some kind of weird Sophie's Choice kind of thing.
Well, it's because they both look the same, do the same shit. They dress the same, they're the same size, they do the same shit. There's a few other men around here that I'm going to fucking pare down to that are the same size, do the same shit. We'll see which one of them we need.
What about Kairi Sane?
Jesus Christ. Are you going to get mad at me?
I'm not. I think she's fine. But, I'm not invested in her being on the roster or not.
Well, let's then put her over on the roster that's leaving.
Jim?
Yes.
I'm assuming NXT. Cale Dixon.
And here's another thing. I'll fire them until they come back with a real person's name.
So Cale Dixon doesn't pass the name test.
Cale did no. Give me Ricky Gibson.
What about Carmen Petrovich?
Oh, seriously?
Carmen with a K. Carmen Petrovich.
Okay, no.
How about Karrion Kross?
Boy, what? He looked like he had potential when he was bald and him and Scarlett was blonde, and now she's dark-headed and his hair is as long as hers is, and there was a period of time there where it was just completely fucking putrid. And then he started to talk, and people are more interested in him, but the matches are still the same with the extra component of now watching how many times he takes a bump. Let's keep him over here and see what we can work out with him for later.
Would you consider changing his name back to his pre-WWE name, Killer Cross?
I don't see why not. I think at this point, I don't know that anybody's going to believe he's really going to kill anybody.
Now here's some NXT names, I presume. I've seen this young lady, very pretty. Kaylani Jordan.
Okay, let's not. Because I think I've seen her too, and I think she's one of the girls that's about 4'11".
You think every girl's 4'11"? She's not 4. I think she's one of the taller ones, actually.
Well, then I'm thinking of another one.
What about Kelly?
Point is, if I ain't thinking about her, I don't care. It's again NXT and fake names, and we're trying to put together a major league international promotion roster. Kehlani's got all the time in the world.
What about NXT announcer Kelly Kincaid?
Who did she used to be? Is that her name, or is she just?
I have no idea.
I don't know. Kelly Kincaid. Let's not keep it. We have the girl I like. What's her name? The good one.
The one.
Jackie Redmond.
That's right.
Jackie Redmond. We got her.
How about Kendall Gray?
A man or woman?
It is a young lady.
Okay, let's not have her.
Kevin Owens.
We obviously, hold on, we will keep Kevin Owens because he is a star. He appears to be slightly less annoying than he used to be. He's injured. We hope he gets better, but yes, we would use him on the roster if he wasn't as big a pain in the ass as he used to be.
I think money changes people.
Money changes everything.
I presume NXT, Kiana James.
I've heard that name, and I wish her good luck in her future endeavors with it. We could let these people keep their names, their fake names, to kind of soften the blow.
You already gave your ruling on the team of Pretty Deadly. Kit Wilson, I presume, gone as well.
Yeah, did I write both of them down at the same time? I can't. What's the other one's name? Elton Prince. I didn't write down. So that's what's right. This one? Kit Parker?
Kit Wilson, not Kit Parker.
Kit Wilson. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to slander Kit Parker.
Don't do that. He's a nice guy. How about Kofi Kingston?
I think, is the New Day thing so just old and worn out now, but they switched heel and it was going to be interesting, but then they're still wearing the same shit. There might be something to do with Kofi Kingston. Let's keep him around for a little while.
He's been around a long while, but next on the list here. Put
somebody over. I'm not trying to tear up the mid card.
Next on the list here, Jim, LA Knight.
You got to keep some LA Knight, without doubt, and hopefully start doing something good with him before he loses all the goodwill he's earned.
How about Lash Legend?
Oh, good Lord. That's that girl from NXT from, 5 years ago when we watched it for a little while, right? She was rotten then. She had a talk show. It's like that fucking, what's her name? That's goddamn locked up in an asylum now. There was a daytime talk show host.
Wendy Williams.
Wendy Williams. Yeah, they got her locked up now. She's fucking.
I think she got out of the asylum. Or wherever she was. Now, I don't know if it was an asylum.
But... Well, no, she was crazy as a rainbow trout in a car wash. They had her locked up in a rubber room at the Puzzle Factory. Yeah, what was that name you just said? Lash Legend.
Lash Legend.
Yeah. She'll be a legend.
She had size. No, she had size and a look.
Yeah, and I remember the work, too. If after 5 years, if she was any better, we'd have seen her on the main roster.
Lexis King. Formerly Brian Pillman Jr.
Pillman Jr. Let's keep him before he's too old to goddamn go anywhere. Get something going with that guy.
Ring announcer Lillian Garcia.
Oh, geez. Does anybody see She's got just a wonderful smile. She can sing. Does anybody see any correlation between her ring announcing and that of Howard Finkel or Jimmy Lennon or any of the greats of modern times?
Or Jimmy Lennon Jr.?
Even Jimmy Lennon the third. No, we don't need it. But she's better than the girl with the fucking ridiculous Martian hairdo.
Liv Morgan.
We're keeping Liv Morgan. She's over. She's a personality. The people are accustomed to her. She's a money-drawing female talent.
Logan Paul.
You got to keep Logan Paul. What a fucking dick. He may be the only fucking heel. Really? Well, think about it. He's the only real heel in the business because everybody knows he's a fucking dick.
What a fucking dick, I believe, is also why Tony Khan keeps Shelton Benjamin around.
Hey!
Well, let's go now, I kid. Let's go.
That's mere rumor. Only started by everybody that's ever been in a locker room with him.
Let's go now back to the list from NXT, I presume, Lola Vice.
Whatever Lola wants, Lola gets, but in this case, it's the unemployment line.
Does that
I like the name.
Do you like the... Oh, that was my question.
I love the name.
Really?
I hope that one day she'll be good enough that we'll actually want to book her.
From NXT, Luca Crucifino.
Oh, I don't even know how to spell that. Luca.
Luca.
Luca, damn if I know.
What about from NXT? If you get rid of these people, you're going to piss off everyone, but I don't know who any of them are. Lucian Price.
No. Just no. I don't... And again, I had the developmental program for this company. We had fucking names. If they were gimmick names, they were obviously gimmick names. If not, they were real names, but they weren't just fake made up names that are supposed to be normal humans' names, but nobody actually has.
Ludwig Kaiser.
I'd keep him in a heartbeat. There's a guy you can do all kinds of shit with.
Would you do anything different with him right now?
Well, yeah, I'd put him back on TV. We haven't seen him in fucking ages. I guess he showed up the other day. We haven't been paying attention the last couple of weeks. Little burnout, little overload.
A little bit of him, a little bit of us. Actually.
No, with him, I would fucking let him go like they were doing for a while and show that he can fucking work and that attitude he's got. And he's got some size, but he's still small enough that he can take bumps for the big guys, whatever. He's all around utility guy.
Lyra Valkyria.
Oh, good Lord. I'm sorry, I can't change my impression. She's not ready for this. She might be sometime, but she just has no personality. There's no oomph to it. It's the goofy name, the wings on the costume, her scared face. She's not a happy, cheerful person, or she doesn't have the Chelsea Green entrance or the Rhea Ripley entrance or the goddamn Liv Morgan entrance or any. She just comes out flapping him fucking wings. Lyric. We're going to just make that an instrumental.
I presume NXT, Malik Blade.
What is it even? What is that?
It is a man. It looks like
it sounds like a goddamn, registered trademark for a knife set they're going to sell on Home Shopping.
Apparently, according to the bio here, he's taken NXT and NXT Level Up by storm. All right. To be determined.
Mm-hmm. No, he's gone. He's gone. He's cut. Blade is cut.
How about Mark Nash? I think he's a ring announcer.
Is he related to Kevin?
He is the SmackDown ring announcer.
Is he the guy with the ridiculous Beavis and Butthead hairdo?
It doesn't look like it, no.
Well, let's get rid of him anyway.
All right.
He reminds me of the guy that has the bad hair.
I guess now that I look at it now, I see a little bit of it, but I don't think that was there before you mentioned it. Maurice.
Who the fuck is that?
The wife of The Miz.
Oh, I thought Maurice, like Maurice Chevalier or Maurice Gibb.
Maurice Chevalier? That's what you thought it was?
Well, that's the most famous Maurice.
If a nightingale. Yes, of course. Maurice, the wife of the Miz, very ample bosom, and I didn't know she was on the roster.
No, Miz is flat-chested as shit. He's like an ironing board. No, we don't need her.
Maxine Dupree.
Oh, good Lord, model girl. The only thing, the hard thing about firing her for being the shits is that she'd get that face where it looks like her feelings are hurt.
I presume an NXT mic holder, Megan Morant.
I mean, we've got a column for announcers and things. Megan Morant kind of sounds like a decent name. Is she any good? Do we care?
I have no idea. What about Michael Cole?
Well, let's put her over there.
Michael Cole.
We got to keep Michael Cole because he's almost ready to retire anyway. So why would we do that to it? We can keep him because he's, what is he now? He'll be 72 in March.
You should see what WWE did to him. This picture they used, he looks insane. You gotta see this.
No, Michael, I bet Michael's maybe only same age as me. So he's got another year or two in him, and then it's off to the home.
Meechin.
We'll keep Mia Yim. I don't know what Meechin is, but we'll keep Mia Yim. Because, again, you got to have some underneath girls. Let me rephrase that. Got to have some girls on the card to put your stars over. And she's a very solid worker. Tries hard.
I presume another ring announcer, Mike Rome.
He's the one with the weird hair.
Oh, let me click this. I guess I could see a Beavis and Butthead-ish hairdo. As I say this, his face is growing longer and longer looking at this. I don't know. I see it more as I think about it.
Your face is melting. All right, Mike Rome, let him roam free.
We already did Montez Ford, Street Profits. What about from NXT, Mr. Stone? We saw him. He was it Robert Stone?
Oh my God, no, the fake, he's the AEW version of Sterling, the fake underneath job guy manager. Yeah, no, he was doing a bunch of comedy a while back, so his chance to be taken seriously is kind of over.
How about Miles Bourne?
I'm thinking, who is he?
NXT, I presume. They got a lot of NXT fucking people on this list.
I was thinking I might have heard the name, but then I might be thinking of Matt Bourne.
Evan Bourne.
Tough Tony Bourne. Well, let's get rid of Mike Bourne. It's too confusing.
Naomi.
With the new gimmick and as a heel, I'm saying let's keep her.
Natalya.
Natalya, again, you want because she's going to be an in-ring trainer and transitioning to working as a producer with girls, and she's got all kinds of experience. So you want her on a card to help get some of the greenhorns over.
Nathan Frazier.
Oh, good Lord. He's the crackhead looking one with the little guy with the mask on, right?
Doesn't look like a crackhead. Where the hell did that come from?
He's got that no body, long hair, crackhead. Looks like a guy working over at fucking Ken Towery Auto.
I don't know what to say, but he's very athletic.
Fraxium, right? Him and the little fucking guy with the mask on.
He is the Fra and Fraxium.
Yes, that's when I first saw them. I said, my God, I can't believe this. Vince was still there. I said, his standards have really fallen. That he would let two guys that indie looking on fucking television.
So I presume you're giving him a chance.
No.
Nia Jax.
Woo! Can we find a conveyance that will carry her out of town, or do we have to keep her just because nobody can transport her?
What about Nick Aldis?
Oh, what are you laughing about Nick Aldis for?
I'm not laughing about Nick Aldis. I'm laughing about
There's nothing
transport.
funny about him. Yeah, of course we're going to keep Nick Aldis.
Nikki Cross.
Oh, good Lord. No, the girl with the Wyatts. Yeah, no. Yeah, no.
Maybe my favorite of all your nicknames because it's so dumb, yet it just makes me laugh. Nikki Ass, which...
Well, that's good. That's pretty much, what the whiff you got when she was in the ring before she started with the whole Wyatt thing, and then we had to see more of her.
Well, speaking of the whiff of ass, Jim, what about Nikita Lyons?
What? She's still in NXT.
Well, she was out. She was out for like a year, I think, or something with a knee, right?
Yeah, that's why I've said she's been hurt a couple times. The ACL, I think, was the big one. She's got a lot of oomph if she could ever keep it consistently oomphy. Let's keep her until we see what's going on. They have tried to present her to us in the past. She keeps getting hurt.
All right, we have a bunch of NXT people here now. Nico Vance.
How many? There are more people in NXT. God damn, you should have heard the squealing from the office when I would turn in a goddamn statement to be reimbursed $200 or whatever in the old days. And now they employ 700 people.
You should have married Stephanie. If you wanted to make it happen.
I'll stick with poverty.
Nico Vance.
I no.
Noam Dar.
What? Nome, Alaska. I don't know. Nome.
Well, here's one you know. Omos.
Oh, good Lord. They've still. Yeah, now let's let him do something.
This is going to sound crazy, but I think like they sent him to All Japan.
What are they mad at All Japan for?
I don't think that's why they sent him there, but another name from NXT, Osiris Griffin.
Osiris Griffin? What about Deuteronomy Skaggs? Is he on the roster? I gotta need another piece of paper. Osiris Griffin. He's gone for a while.
What about Otis?
Oh, he's gone. I mean, that they had it where the people liked him and they wanted to see him and Gable, and then they never did it for I don't know why, and now who cares?
Pat McAfee.
You got to keep McAfee because he's a big star. People know who he is. He gets attention. I'd try to get him off the caffeine within 2 hours of showtime.
Paul Heyman.
Oh, I think we probably find something for Heyman to do.
Away from catering. Penta.
They've still got Felix, right?
We haven't gotten to him yet, but I believe he should be on this list.
Okay,
yes.
Then let's get rid of Penta.
Whoa, he just got there and he's over and he's selling merch.
Yeah, but the other one's better. He does all the same shit.
Well, eventually they could team up and you have a tag team.
Well, then if they do, let's bring Penta back.
Well, where's he going to go?
Home.
Gee, I didn't realize you were just going to get rid of him because of Ray Phoenix, his brother. You're creating family drama.
What I'm doing is I'm getting a distinct star. Penta is sloppy. His shit don't make sense. I see him grabbing shit from the right side all the time and people trying to shoot him off, and it's a fucking mess. Felix was better when we saw him in this environment being produced than Penta and his two guys doing the same kind of shit. You only want one unless they're a team, and then you want both of them. So can they be a team? I'll put both of them down over here. But if they're not, I'll take Felix.
Very interesting. We'll keep moving on here.
Well, I mean, we could here. I'll put him over here on the side. Penta, if team.
What about Pete Dunne?
Oh, good Lord. Poor Butch. I think he's homesick. He looks homesick to me.
All right. What about Piper Niven? She's part of the Chelsea Green contingent.
Chelsea Green. The Beam Green. You know what? Keep Piper, Niven, and Chelsea over here. I'm not sure about the didn't we? We kept Chelsea before, I think, didn't we?
I think so, yes.
Yeah, we kept Chelsea. Keep Piper. Not sold on the other skinny girl with him, but Piper as the stooge with the suit on and everything. And then she lowers the boom on people with her enormous, gigantic body weight. I can get into that gimmick.
R-Truth.
You got to keep the truth, baby, even if they can't handle it. Now that he's 6 months ago, I'd have said, oh, Jesus Christ, enough's enough. But now they got something.
Randy Orton.
Oh, God damn it. I just realized I've fired so many people. I'm on a different page, but now I've started writing down people I'm keeping, and even though I've got room on this other pages. Oh, well, of course we're keeping Randy Orton, since he's one of the biggest stars in the goddamn world.
Well, we already did Raquel Rodriguez, and it sounds like you already committed to Rey Fenix being on your roster, correct?
Oh, Felix. Felix will be here.
Rey Mysterio.
Of course you keep Rey Mysterio. I have to think about that.
Rhea Ripley.
Well, I don't know, Brian. What do you think? I mean, she hasn't worn out her welcome or anything, has she? Maybe if she put on a little weight and grew a couple of inches. Yeah, we'll keep her.
Jim from NXT, Ricky Saints.
Well, obviously, we know who Ricky Saints is, and I don't know why they're keeping him in NXT when, you know, they could freshen up the main roster, but we'll keep Ricky Saints.
Ridge Holland.
Now, he is the short, squat fellow from across the pond. Well, not short and squat, but he's a big, thick fellow.
He's not short and squat at all.
He's not short, but he's squat. He's big and thick. He might be 6 feet tall, but he's big and thick. He's the guy that tore his leg when he was catching a guy on a dive, I believe.
I think a
while back.
Yeah, and then he had a couple of things happen.
There's something to do with that. Let's keep Ridge Holland. As I recall, unless he's crippled himself by now.
Now, this name's on the WWE roster page. I don't know that he's active, and if he has done anything recently, because I don't watch NXT, I haven't seen it. Robert Roode.
I get he's one of their producers or whatever, but maybe they have him on a talent contract. I mean, I don't know how old Bobby is these days, but goddamn it, he's one of the guys that I was screaming at him to fucking feature better in TNA 15 years ago. But instead, they were, you know, running a retirement home for ex-WWF talent. But if Bobby Roode is able to work and is in good shape and whatever, then yes, he's instantly on the roster.
Roman Reigns.
I think we can find something for him to do, even part-time.
Roxanne Perez.
Oh, God damn it now. If I fire Roxanne, Stacy will get mad at me.
Oh, Stacy likes Roxanne?
Stacy likes Roxanne. Roxanne! Let's keep Roxanne Perez.
Rusev.
What have they been doing with him lately? Because, I mean, we haven't paid attention for 2 weeks, but I haven't seen him in a while since then.
He had a good match. I enjoyed it. I watched it. It went a while, a couple weeks ago. Him and Sheamus had a good match.
That's right. Him and Sheamus. That's the last time. Okay, yeah, we'll keep Rusev as long as he can refrain from coming all over people like God's wrath.
Sami Zayn.
Got to keep Sami Zayn. He is very popular and all around friend to furry woodland creatures.
Santos Escobar.
Oh, good Lord. Can we get rid of all of the people in the lucha heels and the lucha baby faces that fight the lucha against each other endlessly?
Well, now that they have a piece of AAA, there's a place to
send them. There you go.
Stuff. Yeah, you don't have to get rid of them. From NXT, I presume, I may get this wrong. Saquon Sugars.
I don't even know what I'm writing there. Nobody has ever heard that name before, so we're not even going to put it on the list and just act like it doesn't happen.
I believe this is another one of the announcers or microphone holders for NXT, Sarah Schreiber.
Sarah Schreiber. How many microphone holders we got? We got Byron Saxton. We got Jackie Redmond. We got... do you want to keep Megan Morant or Sarah Schreiber?
Let's take Sarah Schreiber.
Okay. And I'll put Sarah Schreiber over here.
Jim, what about Scarlett?
Well, if you're going to keep Cross, you got to keep Scarlett, but I would bleach her hair again quickly. Where is she? Where's Cross? Cross with Scarlett. There we go. Scarlett.
This is one of their commentators or announcers that we don't really see, but he's a local New York sports guy. Scott Stanford.
Nope. Somebody beat me to it. He just left. He announced on Twitter he was done with the company.
Oh.
So.
Well, there you go.
He's a radio guy in New York, apparently.
What about Seth Rollins?
I think we can keep Seth. We can figure out a place for him.
Yeah, we may have to talk about it on the drive-thru. We're getting more and more feedback from people sick of him. It's something to keep an eye on.
Well, the thing is, with the, weird cackling promos, he gets old. But when his matches are good, and when he's serious about something, as he was the personal issue with Punk, the promos aren't bad. But now that Heyman's with him, maybe we can hear a little more from Paul and a little less from Seth, and it'll help the familiarity breeding contempt problem he's having.
Well, we'll see. Again, this is their roster from their website. Shane McMahon.
Do you think they're just putting... I'm sure Shane probably still has a talent contract that's running in some fashion.
I would be surprised, actually, if he had a talent contract that was active right now. I didn't know that.
Well, no, because think about this. What was the Royal Rumble the last time he was there, and when Vince got mad at him and sent him home for fucking up the Rumble? That was, 3 years ago? They signed him to a 5-year talent contract.
Huh.
And they're not going to goddamn... who knows, depending on... And I'm not saying I know this for a fact, but depending on whether he's compensated a minimum or he's compensated if he works, he ain't going to work anymore. Are they going to say, well, if his minimum's a couple of $100,000, are we going to make the headlines for firing Shane when he's really done nothing wrong? Are we just going to ride that out? But I'm surprised if there is existing paperwork on him still with everything's gone on. They put him on the website, which may have been a lower level, website guy in the office going, oh, these are all the people on contract. And nobody's noticed. Who knows? I don't know. But no, we're not keeping Shane, but he don't want to be kept.
From NXT, Sean Spears.
Oh, good Lord. Him still.
The chairman.
The chairman, yeah. Let's see if he can find his seat without us.
What about Sheamus?
He's just so visually off-putting. And I don't, the get up that he wears, like the street urchin from, the home country in the fucking 1870s or whatever. And
well, he doesn't really dress like that anymore. It's more of like a cab driver.
I saw him the other night on the show, and he had the goddamn outfit on and carried his shillelagh stick or whatever the fuck it was.
All right, maybe
it just looks so Vince-ish. It looks so cartoony. But when you're that pale, there's an element of cartoon to begin with. He's an okay worker when you're just having a fucking fight. But I honestly, I think it'd be unfair to him because I don't really have any ideas for what I would do with a guy like that. So it might be more fair to him to just let him be free.
Jim, what about Shinsuke Nakamura?
Oh, please. How quickly can we get him a first class ticket back home?
First class? That's pretty nice.
Well, I figured that's the least we can do for his years of contribution. Jesus Christ, he's been horrible for years.
I don't remember if we mentioned this young woman with the champions. She's holding a belt, Sol Rucka.
Yes, we did.
Yeah, we did. Okay.
And I think people got mad at me because I fired her, but only because, again, I don't know what the fuck's going on here, and it's developmental. We'll worry about that later.
What about Solo Sikoa?
We already kept Solo because he was in the champions list. So now they're duplicating.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I've got him down up here. He was in, or just because he was on, I don't know, he came up.
What about Stephanie McMahon?
Oh, good Lord. I believe that I would go for a, see, here's the thing. Triple H is in the family, but he's his own star. He's also important to creative, and he's the experienced executive. I don't know that I want more people reminding folks that the McMahon family used to have anything to do with this. And Stephanie, she's not indispensable in creative. She's not indispensable on television. She's not indispensable in the office. She's not indispensable. She's just now getting wormed in because they want to rehabilitate her image and separate her from her dad, but we don't need her. Nobody's calling for her.
That's right. How about Stephanie Vaquer? One of the other.
Lacker. I know everybody thinks what does everybody think she's so great about? She's another one-dimensional kind of facial expression with a mean, badass look, and, and there you go. That's kind of it.
So what are you saying? She is pretty good. You're not going to take her?
Well, let's keep her.
Fans are into her.
We'll keep her.
I presume NXT for the next one. Stevie Turner. It's a girl.
Yeah. Okay. I think she used to be a production assistant for TNA.
Jim, what about Tama Tonga?
Well, you got to keep Tama Tonga because of the whole bloodline deal that he's in. But if he wasn't a member of the family, he might be looked at a little more closely.
Again, this is their roster. Tamina.
Oh, yeah, let's not do that anymore. She's just been there for a while because.
Here's the Tank from Hank and Tank, Tank Ledger. I think we already discussed.
Is he related to Heath?
I don't think so.
We haven't seen the Tank or the Hank. Did we dump Hank before?
I don't remember.
There was a Hank that let's see, FGH. I don't. Well, we don't need Tank or no. We got rid of Tank. And we got rid of Hank and Tank at the same time.
What about Tatum Paxley? It's a girl.
Let's move on.
From NXT, I presume. Tavian Heights.
Is that a suburb of Pacific Palisades?
I think we all know your answer to that one. The Miz.
Oh, good Lord. I have been so sick to death of him and his frog face and various antics. But he's over and he's been around for a while. I'm not going to just discard him right now. Let's see if we can do something.
Wow.
Something.
Wow.
Maybe.
Where did that come
hold on.
from? What?
Because maybe he is an obnoxious manager that very seldom wrestles except for when somebody wants to see him get the shit kicked out of him. And with him having that obnoxious personality and being able to talk, you might get something out of it. As a wrestler, it's ridiculous.
Jim, again from NXT, I presume. Thea Hall. Oh, no, excuse me. Hale. Thea Hale.
Well, hail now. Get it straight. Hail, and farewell.
We did Tiffany Stratton already. What about?
Well, that's it. Now, you just go ahead and brag. I'm not going to admit to anything.
I believe the next one is an ambassador for the company, not active. Titus O'Neil.
Yeah, what foreign country has he opened up relations with?
I don't know. I don't know what he's doing, actually.
I don't know. Well, if he does commentary or whatever on some of these pregame shows, I have nothing against him, but I'm not sure what he's doing because I don't watch pregame shows. Let's put him over in the announcers section.
What about Tommaso Ciampa?
I'd keep Tommaso. Maybe we could get him away from that goddamn street urchin partner of his and let him show what he can do. He's older. He's had injuries. He can't work a full schedule, but he's an amazing athlete. His work was good, and you could believe him. You could do something on a limited basis there that wouldn't, you don't want to put him in the main event. He could blow a knee again, and there's millions of dollars on pay-per-view, but there's something you can do with him.
Can you do something with Tonga Loa?
Yeah, do a blood test to make sure that he's a member of the family. If he is, we'll keep him. If not, we can get rid of him.
That may be a good segment, the blood test on TV. Tony D'Angelo.
Quickly, go away. It was cartoony in NXT. Remember, he's the gangster.
That's right. I believe now he's a good guy, though. He's a gangster with a heart.
Well,
Jim, what about Trick Williams? He's one of their champions there. Oh,
Trick Williams. We haven't seen him in ages. There was, you know what? I'd put him down to keep for a second. He had some athleticism. I haven't seen him in a while, but put him down there. Somebody's got to open the show, if nothing else.
Triple H is listed here on this list.
Well, no, you're not going to put him on the roster, but we're not going to fire him.
Tyler Bate.
Oh, no. He's the small fellow from across the pond.
Very talented, but very, very small, yeah.
Yeah, very small.
Again, these, I presume, are NXT participants.
A, B, C, D, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, Z. Okay, we're almost there.
We're almost there. This is the home stretch. Tyriek Igwe.
What? Now what?
I'm trying here. Tyriek. IEK. IEK.
How do you spell something? TRYR.
That's his first name. And then the second name, Igwe.
What is it? Wait a minute. What is his first name?
TYRIEK. IEK. That's his first name. And his last name is IGWE.
He was partners in the Columbus territory with Yingwe Malcolm. I'll just put a line here on the paper saying that we fired somebody.
What about Tyson DuPont?
What the fuck was he? He was a member of the DuPont family, right? Made all their fortune in fucking, was it oil or shipping? I can't remember. Maybe it was diamonds. No, we don't want him. What's his name?
Tyson DuPont.
Yeah, he's trying my patience.
Uncle Howdy.
How quickly can we move that son of a bitch out of here, never to be heard from again? That's the most embarrassing, failed, flopped gimmick in the history of wrestling.
What about Uriah Connors?
Only if his manager's name is Uriah Heep.
I believe the next person here we heard was released, or at least they weren't going to renew. I forget exactly what. Valhalla.
That's right. She moved here to Louisville to become a golf course down the road. It's where they have the PGA tournament. It's where they arrested Scotty Scheffler.
Oh, yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, the big Valhalla Golf Club. She's successful now.
What about the NXT commentator, Vic Joseph?
Have we ever heard him? I guess we have at some point.
He's not terrible for WWE style.
Well, let's keep him. Somebody's got to do the job.
What about Wade Barrett?
You know, he looks good in a suit and he's got a deep voice. We'll keep him. He may need to be produced a little bit more, but that's nothing wrong with that.
Well, here's one of your favorites from a few years ago, Wendy Chu.
Oh my God. Still, they will keep people just like Tony, way past the point where you would think, my God, have you learned nothing? Because they don't have to worry about the money they spend. She was actually in a sleeping bag going to sleep in the middle of the matches, as I recall. Yeah, how quick can we get rid of her?
Also from NXT, Wes Lee.
Which one is he? Wes Lee.
He was doing something the last time we watched it. I don't remember.
Yeah. Well, he must have made an impression. Let's not keep him.
William Regal.
Well, again, he's neither on the talent roster as a wrestler, but he's not an authority figure anymore. Does he even appear on television, or is he specifically behind the scenes?
He may appear on
NXT. I'm not saying fire him. You know, he's apologized enough for that AEW fiasco. But we'll keep him over here with the announcers and the office people and the morticians and things.
From NXT, Ren Sinclair.
Kick him and Stimpy out.
It's a girl. It's a very pretty young woman.
Well, good for her. Maybe she'll be able to find other work.
See, this is what gets people upset when you just fire the NXT people. You don't give a shit about anything.
Well, again, we're not dealing with developmental. We've already got, on these 3 pages, we have 75. Hold on, that's a 3 page. I've kept 80 fucking people for goddamn one wrestling company. You can fill in the fucking blanks later on.
What about Xavier Woods from the New Day?
I kept Kofi, didn't I? You know, I like Xavier Woods was Consequences Creed in TNA. He's a nice young man. That gimmick has just been fucking bloody rotten with the pancakes and the unicorns and the fucking cereal and the trombones and all that bullshit for so long. It's tainted my appraisal of the humans, but we could. Okay, what's his name over here again now? Xavier Woods. Well, keep Xavier Woods and just get him a new wardrobe.
I assume NXT. It's a woman here, Zarya.
Sorry, Zarya.
Zelina Vega.
You know, she seems to be a very nice young girl, but she's painfully small. She's the one that's got a good backstory. Her father was in the Twin Towers on 9/11, right?
I believe
she's the one, I believe.
Yeah, that's right.
You know, let's keep her down here for some babyface purpose for a while.
You know, I always thought, even though I'm sure she loves being a wrestler and I'm sure they may like it better too, I thought her as a heel manager was actually the best use of her.
Oh, that's right.
Remember, she managed Andrade. Well, that was when we first saw Andrade in WWE. And finally, Jim, the final name here on the list. And again, there's a picture of Mr. Iguana here, and he wasn't on the list, so there's other names involved. Zoe Stark.
Well, she's poor thing. We'll keep her because we can't fire the poor thing when she's hurt. She just hurt herself, but she ain't gonna be wrestling for us for a while.
And that is the final name on WWE.com's superstars list of all their talent.
I mean, seriously, I have said there's 26 lines to a notebook pad. So I have kept about 85 people, and we have dumped 20, 50, 75. Good Lord, we've dumped over 100. And it's still got 80 something. It's too much. Oh, well.
The only argument I guess someone could make would be because of what WWE did to become WWE, they have to have their own ecosystem where they have to have wrestlers just doing something somewhere, whether it's NXT
yes,
or
and
TNA.
that's why I'm. But that's why I'm saying, I'm not saying don't have developmental, but I'm not going to take all these miscellaneous fake, phony, made up names, a bunch of green talent, and put them in this goddamn roster when we've still got 80 something people that you could put on 2 television shows a week. And that doesn't mean that everybody is horrible. Some of them are. But also, you don't want every goddamn wrestler in the world working for you all at one time, or who you going to bring in to replace anybody. What I was doing was I was looking at, okay, who are the professionals that have half a chance? They've got something going for them, size, look, talent, potential, whatever in AEW. And that was about maybe 30 or 40 out of 100 and fucking something. And the same thing here. It's about 80 out of 200 and something. But good Lord. Sorry.
Well, there it is, the WWE roster of K through Z.
And that is now, if you see K, I started thinking that old joke, that is now time to spell thank you, fuck you, bye, isn't it? So the program is over. But we're coming back on a drive-through. We got Saturday night's main event and Saturday afternoon's amateur hour. So we're going to be talking about both of those things next week, as well as a host of other. Do you have nice plans for us on your show, Brian?
There's so much stuff we have to watch. Let's just see what we have to do. And then we have a whole bunch of programs and a bunch of classic wrestling content. We're going to keep bringing people that have been enjoying what we've been giving them the last few weeks.
There you go. If you don't like the new stuff, we'll give you some more old stuff. And until then, in parting, thank you, fuck you, and bye-bye, everybody.